Should I start the show, guys? Are you done getting trolled? Are you ready for State of the Game? What do you think? We've got 30 seconds left of the song. They want more music. I'm giving them the 30 seconds they deserve. This is what I do for you, StarCraft community. Alright. Let's fucking do this.
In control against Artosis debate. And keep going back and forth.
That'll be easy.
War field stabilized. For return of the heat. We gotta move.
What is up, everyone? It is November 29th, 2011, and this is State of the Game. Now, I thought that I was going to finally put the band back together today, but Day 9 just wasn't in the books for him. He decided to jump ship at the last minute, but we've got our friend Sheth, as you can see right there, growing the EG beard. Might be joining the team soon. We'll talk with Jeff about that in just a second. But on the show, of course, we've got In Control, Sheth, Tyler, and Artosis, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. We got DreamHack, previewing the NASL Season 2 finals. We'll talk about the EG house and if it is working or not. I'm sure Jeff has a lot to say about that. Then we're going to talk to Artosis about some of the Brood War pros that have switched over. And GSL, semifinals and the grand finals. Then we'll talk about Slasher being Slasher, which I'm sure everyone wants us to talk about. We'll do some questions, do some shout-outs, and then at the end, we've got a little charity thing that we'll be doing, and it's going to be a lot of fun because you can win a ton of stuff, but we'll talk about that towards the end. Dan?
Yeah?
You and Tyler are actually zombies today. You both didn't want to come on the show because of how tired you are.
I wanted to come on the show, man. I'm still waking up, man. I'm jet lagged.
Yeah, I always want to be on the show. I don't have a good excuse. I've been sick the past few days, actually, but
That's an excuse, man.
I can't prove it.
Yeah, you can't.
Artosis is actually in Sweden.
You can't prove that either, though, man. They don't stamp your passport. I have, like, a stamp from Copenhagen and from, like, Germany. There's no... The Swedish government doesn't know I was there, man. Can't be proven.
James Bond Artosis.
That's it.
And I will state that out of all of us drinking right now, Jeff's the only one drinking alcoholic beverages. So the troll will be in full effect, I hope, this episode. We'll have to see if that proves true. But Jeff, I'll start with you. How have you been, man? How was your Thanksgiving?
Pretty good. Barristan and English Bulldogs in general don't fly very well. If they're small enough to take on the plane, you can do that, but you don't put them on underneath because they'll probably pass away. So I wasn't able to go back for Thanksgiving, so unfortunately I missed Anna passing on her Miss Oregon crown, actually. So what I did is I made chili dogs for myself, and I had some chili dogs and a dog Thanksgiving, which was pretty nice. I don't want to repeat that, but it was fun. And then aside from that, everyone's back now. The guys are getting ready for NASL. Bryce and Nick are here just before they leave for Christmas break. And in that time, I'm going to play some Skyrim. I'm going to play some Modern Warfare 3.
Well, you fucked up, Jeff.
Did some streaming today while under the influence, so my play was subpar. I'm taking a vacation, man. A well-deserved vacation,
Well,
I believe so.
We all need it. I think everyone in the StarCraft world definitely needs a vacation of some sort. But the tournaments won't end, man. NSL this week, and then middle of the week next week is WCG finals or something like that in Seoul. And is that the last tournament of the year? Is there anything else?
Last WCG
Major.
and then the
WCG.
Blizzard Cup finishes
Oh, yeah,
up.
then the Blizzard Cup will be the
Which
final
it's
one.
only like 3 days after WCG, and then I don't think there's anything till January.
Well, thank
By
God.
the way, it bears mentioning,
What's up?
MLG modded 200 people for our chat.
Something like that.
So I actually reached to ban someone just now, and that
was
son of a
banned?
bitch got banned so
Boom.
fast.
Got
It
him.
was before I could even click on their name, so fair warning to our stream chat regulars, like,
Damn.
and they won't unban you. You'll just have to go make another account. And
Yeah, don't PM me. If you want to PM someone, go to twitter.com/Kenneget. Let him know that you want to be unbanned. And I'm sorry, Kenneget. That's my
Actually,
troll for the day.
I think Idra got banned for doing something like that. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember that? When Idra got temp banned, he said
Well, that was because
PM.
it had to deal with Manifesto, and that guy just hates Greg, doesn't it?
He said PM chill. I think it was chill he targeted.
Well, I
PM
didn't
chill.
say. I said go to twitter.com/Kenneget. Do not do the other one on that big website that Kenneget works for. Do not. I got
You
my
could.
eye on you,
I
Chad.
don't think they'd mind too much.
Don't listen to Sheth. He's actually the biggest troll in the world. He's not a nice guy.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're
What?
getting a red for that. That's fine.
All right, I fucked up. Dan, how was Sweden?
Oh, it was awesome, man. The Swedish fans are so good, and I was so happy to finally hit up another European event. It's been over a year. And DreamHack is, like, unbelievable.
Yeah, let's
Their
talk about
staff
DreamHack,
is,
man.
like, so hardworking and stuff. It was a great event, and there were, like, a lot of really good games. There were some completely terrible trash games, but for the most part, it was really great games.
So, I mean, I guess just we'll start off. Hero won in a pretty awesome grand final. You can't really complain about a best of 7 going the distance there against Puma. What were your thoughts overall on Hero's play throughout the tournament, and especially in the grand finals?
Since MLG, like at MLG, I felt like that was Hero's breakout. He was like always really good, and I always thought, oh, you know, this guy's like maybe a Korean White Raw or something. But at MLG, it was like, I'm a Bisu the second or something. He was like playing insane. Like his understanding and his micro and his macro and his multitasking. He'd be down 40 supply all game long and killing hatcheries and defending huge attacks. And at MLG, I was like, towards the end of the tournament, I was wondering, is Hero gonna like just come through and win it, this whole thing? I'm not really sure. So I wasn't all that surprised to see him win in DreamHack. I thought DRG would take it, but Hero was second in my mind for that spot.
Tyler, you're, I guess Sheth as well. You guys are both teammates of Hero. Is this a long time coming? Is this something you guys expected to eventually happen? You just didn't know when and where?
I would say so, because, I mean, I've been watching his play ever since he's joined the team, and he's always been really good. It's just he's not like a bonjour, so he's not going to go win the first tournament he enters, so it just takes time until everything can come together. But he's always had sick play in all 3 matchups, and if you actually look like at his tournament history, he has kind of an excuse every time he loses. Like, he doesn't like lose like getting completely outplayed every time. Like, that's never really happened to Hero. There's always like some weird circumstances that kind of mitigate it. So if you're on his side, then you're always kind of rationalizing, oh, well, Hero's going to win next time. But yeah, it finally came through. So really happy for him. But you know, can he do the 2 in a row? When Huck won DreamHack, then he won Home Story Cup.
Yeah.
So is Hero going to repeat that feat? Although NASL, I think, is going to be harder than Home Story Cup was.
Yeah, we'll get to the bracket
Yeah.
for NASL in just a little bit. But Sheth, for you, I mean, you were obviously watching at home as well as Tyler. What was it like to see your teammate up there win such a big tournament?
Well, that part of it was awesome, but like for me, I made it first out of my groups, and getting first out of my groups meant I had
I'm
to play
actually
Hero
made it.
first
You were there.
rounds.
I'm so sorry.
Why?
I said you were at home watching.
Oh no, I was there.
All right.
We played. He beat me.
Yeah.
And we had really close first game. Second game, he just rolled me over. But yeah, watching the finals after that, like I was rooting for him. I wanted the person who beat me to win the whole tournament. And then, like throughout the finals, me and Dario Tielo just kept getting like interviewed by like a news thing after like each 2 games. So like you'd see us after like the first 4 games, we're like, yeah, Hero's up 3-1, and then we're like, no, it's 3-3. This is the worst. And then like when he took that final game, and there was one point when Hero threw down some force fields that we were like, oh, he's dead. That was bad. And then he like killed that force, and oh man, it was great. And then rushing the stage after he won, it was just awesome.
Was that for your team? Was that a bigger win than when Huck won last year for you guys?
Well, I wasn't part of TL at that time, so for me this is the biggest one. But I don't know.
I'm
What do you
actually
think, Tyler?
fucking up today, guys. I don't know.
And it's hard for me to say because I wasn't there for this one, but I was there for a lot, so I was like,
Jesus.
like a distant observer.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to go start drinking because this is good.
So you can have an excuse.
Yeah, so I can have an excuse for this shit. I don't know what's going on. I mean, Jeff, you were at home. You weren't at this event.
Correct.
Got it. Yes. What were your thoughts watching, man?
Well, I was a little bit worried. Hero just flat out outplayed Puma for the first couple of games. Like he was metagaming him hardcore. That dual side game rings really true to me. Like his build was just flat out Puma. I know exactly what you're gonna do, and I'm going to have my way with you now. So that game was kind of disheartening for us EG fans / Puma fans, but then Puma made a series of it and kind of came back. A little bit of cheese when everything's on the line. That Marine SCV pull was insane, but then it went all the way down to the wire. And it just kind of had the feel of like Heroes tournament. But I think something that like Tyler said kind of is true. Like almost every tournament feels kind of like Heroes tournament. I think part of it's like he plays so intense and his heart's on his sleeve like so clearly that you actually kind of just pull for him, even though I'm not on his team or anything like that. So Puma's, he played really well. He beat some ridiculous players in that tournament, and Idra's one of the big challenges for Puma, and he was able to beat Idra pretty strongly there. So it was a great tournament for EG, and it was a great tournament for Puma, but hats off to Hero, because, like I said, I just had this strange urge to cheer for him, and if someone was going to beat Puma, I'm glad it was Hero. Also, my prediction that no Korean in the top 3 couldn't have been more wrong, so thank you for that.
That's true. That's true. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the setup that DreamHack had. I thought just right off the bat, the couch that they had off to the side that that Artosis, you and Tasteless were throwing to for the finals was actually something that I'm going to steal next year for MLG. Because it was so smart to be able to do that. It gives you guys a break. You don't have to cut to a commercial. You can sit there and still fill time while the game's being made. You don't have to fumble through setting up the lobby and everything like that while also
that was
talking.
awesome.
So it was an awesome thing, man. What were your
As
thoughts
like
on
a
it?
commentator, when I was commentating, I thought it was like the most brilliant thing ever. Because sometimes it's hard to get those games started exactly on time, and it's hard to fill and figure out what's going on and make the game and all that. Mm-hmm. So from the commentating perspective, it was awesome. I think it must have been cool for everyone. I think Total Biscuit may have been right. 4 may have been a little bit too much. It felt like the throw around with 4 might have been a little bit too much. I think 3 could have been really good, or maybe even 2. Mm-hmm. But it was an awesome idea. Like, totally kudos to them for doing that, because I thought while I was up there, I'm like, oh, this is probably pretty good.
I think 3 is like really important because otherwise you just have the same casting pairs.
Right. Yeah.
At least if you have 3, you kind of have something different on the couch.
I think the most important thing to take away from it is that tournaments are starting to innovate downtime. We had IPL with roving crews of interviewers. MLG took on that same kind of MLG took on the same kind of idea with Clutch, but also with Slasher going around getting that content in between. Yeah. And now we see DreamHack doing something different, which I thought was really cool with the couch. And something I talked about a while ago, but what I want to see is even a step up from all this. Like have the clutches and have the couches, but perfect it. And of course, we're in the infancy of these stages, so it's not like you can expect a first-time effort to be perfect. But kudos to all those tournaments for doing something so that we don't have a commercial or the same video rolling on in between games. This is something that I want to watch and that I care about. It's just amazing. So tip of the hat to all of them, but this time tip of the hat to DreamHack.
Yeah, it was an awesome addition. I know for MLG during the finals and some of the semifinals, the entire time you guys can't actually see it, obviously, but whenever the camera's on Artosis and Tasteless, myself, Mr. Bitter, Wheat, and Husky were sitting in front of that caster's desk making sure that our hair wasn't in the camera shot because we were all watching the monitor back in the back. And I mean, if you put us up on a couch somewhere and we're able to talk right afterwards, it's basically exactly what we're doing in the first place. So that was just a smart thing I thought DreamHack did. Something that
I would love that too, man, because at like MLG,
Yeah.
Some of the games I really do want to watch. You know, as
Yeah,
we get
we
towards
can't,
the end,
man. Yeah.
and there's like no real way to watch them if I go out front. Then
You get
like a
bombed.
line forms,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just so having like a couch towards the end. I mean, not the whole time. I mean, we can't be doing it the entire time. We have to eat and stuff, but sometimes it'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that, and it's not DreamHack's fault or anything like that, but it's been kind of said already a billion times, but it's got to be restated. That host, I feel sorry for him, man. He was not put in the right position that event, that's for sure. I mean, what was the crowd's reaction like for you being there, Sheth? I mean, were you guys welcoming of him, or was it kind of eerily quiet, or how did that go?
From a too good to what was that guy's name for IPO? Randy.
Yeah,
From a Randy to too good. What
I
was
don't remember, but I remember his wife's name was Linda.
his ex-wife?
Wait, is
Yeah.
the DreamHack guy the same as last year?
No,
Just like-
that was too good.
no. Too Good did the host.
Too Good's
No, no,
really
no.
good.
Yeah, Too Good's awesome.
Oh, I'm thinking of someone else because there was some like real super awkward guy that was like terrible at his job.
Yeah.
This guy was
Well,
like a
it was
Call
a
of Duty
cast-
pro.
Yeah, it was a YouTube Call of Duty pro / caster. I'm not too sure of his background, but he was thrust into a position that, I mean, it's a different beast for sure, going up there and being in front of that many people and trying to fill time. But I guess it is what it is. That was the only thing that was actually bad. One thing that was awesome was the venue for the finals. You can see right here. Look at that. That was an ice skating rink or something like that. Artosis, is that correct?
I don't know.
That's split in
Hockey.
half or something like
Hockey.
that?
Hockey arena, yeah, they split in half. There's a lot of people in there. It was awesome.
Yeah. What was that
Just-
bigger than the
it-
BlizzCon
It
crowd?
felt awesome, man, and I loved the little thing that went out in the middle.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
I'm haunted
Like
by
brain-
the image of everyone doing a fusion core dance, though.
I know
That
that
was a
was
little
weird,
strange,
but
yeah.
that was in a different arena. Yeah, it was a kick ass. So I mean, DreamHack
Your arena was tainted
really
by
well.
the fusion core.
Dan's just like, yeah, you're right, man.
Day 9 even has the voice of like what I imagine would be playing over a loudspeaker in like a totalitarian government where they're ruled by Day 9. He'd be like, and now we're gonna do the fusion core dance, everybody. Everyone do the fusion core dance, and everyone's like, like they're. It was kind of freaky to me. It was impressive, but it was freaky.
Yeah, that was definitely kind of silly. But other than that, I mean, what did you guys take away from DreamHack? We'll just kind of go down the line here. Final thoughts on the event, Artosis?
I think that they like pushed forward in a lot of really cool ways, and I think that MLG can learn some from them, and they can learn some from MLG, and both of them can learn something from GSL, which can learn something from both of them. And I think everyone should just learn from each other because this really came out stupid sounding, but everyone's doing certain things like really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Like that casting couch was kick-ass. I loved the arena.
Yeah.
But yeah, DreamHack was amazing, man, and I would love nothing more than to be able to do another one in the future.
Tyler?
I mean, similar things that Dan said. I didn't watch a whole bunch of it because I was taking my holiday, but I just love the fact that, I mean, a year ago we were thinking like, is this event going to be a disaster or not? Because we were all kind of like, that's the way it was when StarCraft 2 first started getting big. We didn't know, and now it's just like these events are getting so good, and DreamHack, it's like foregone conclusion that, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but we know that they're going to run a good event, and then it's just a matter of like how many things do they innovate and like blow our minds with, oh, that should have been happening a long time ago. So I think it's just awesome that there are still people working hard to get better and better content out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And the finals were cool. I thought the finals had like a wide variety of games, like the cheese and the longer macro games and the mind games and the rivalry and everything. So I thought it was a really sick finals.
Yeah. Sheth, as a player, since you weren't at home watching, like I previously stated, how was that event for you when it comes to like player management and things like that?
Well, it was the first DreamHack where they had a pro lounge, so that was actually really nice. The pro lounge had like a masseuse as well, which was pretty cool.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Kind of stole some
Oh.
things.
Red Bull
God.
style.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
So-
screwed. Like we have to have that next year.
Chef, Was the
Yeah.
masseuse good at her job?
It was a guy, but he was great.
It
Was
was
it
a
great?
Swedish.
All right,
a
we're not-
Swedish masseuse male.
He like does stuff with like rock bands, like really really important people. Like he was telling me he's worked on like AC/DC.
I bet he's done stuff with rock bands. Was his name Hans or Hans?
That is so corny. I just want to kill myself.
But I think overall, DreamHack, like a lot of the things they kept simple, worked out really well. Like the casting, like the finals where it was in a stadium, and then even when they did the couch, it was just a couch. Like it was simple. Put people on a couch and you show. Didn't do anything crazy, and even then it was kind of hard because their camera angle was like the weirdest camera angle
Did
ever.
they have a crane, by the way? Do you know
Yeah.
what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, they did.
Yeah.
That's what I
They
thought,
have a
because
crane
I
there.
felt like they were doing some swooping shots. But, well, I don't know if we're going to have a a masseuse next year at MLG, but I guess we'll try, man.
I know. Why not? Hey, come on.
I don't know if we can top that.
Two masseuses.
Difficult first round.
Go over the top. Have a
There's
foot
a
massage
guy.
person.
Really good massages.
Massage chairs, like you can do
That
it.
we could. Okay, that's maybe.
Hot tub, man. Come on.
All right, I'll just get a hot tub, guys.
Tyler's dreaming big.
Yeah,
Good.
Tyler's dreaming big, but maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. Jeff, final thoughts on DreamHack?
I was really happy with it. I thought it was a fantastic event. I think they'll always... No, I'm not going to say that. But it was really good. Like I said, I think we all agreed that we liked the innovation. The host, unfortunately, was probably a little bit out of place. Everyone wants me to mention the pulse rate. God,
Was that actually real?
son of a bitch, who cares? Yes, it showed their pulse.
I mean, how did Sheth? Were you a victim of that? Did they like strap a?
It was only for the finals and maybe the semifinals, but like I think they just strap something around your chest
Oh,
and it reads your heartbeat. It didn't work at one point with Hero, but like
Yeah, I saw it
started
messed up or
working
whatever.
again.
weird. I mean, I guess that's something cool. It's always fun to have stats to track
I think
any sport.
when commentating, casters should have decibel rates as well. Well, next to the when it shoots to
Well, Husky would
He
win,
knows
man.
it.
Fuck, he would win every time, no matter what we do.
Tasteless would be like, "Let's welcome out later," and like, you know, the show his decibels raising. It could be another stat for everyone to talk about.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that Total Biscuit averages like 30 decibels more than Apollo? I mean, I think he's trying to drown him out. He might be actually a little bit insecure with his partner. And nobody thinks threats about it. Shit.
That was actually the perfect face right there. Dan, you actually mentioned something before we started that you wanted to
Yeah.
mention.
I want to go
during
on a
this,
little
so
rant here, and everyone needs to
feel
listen
free.
up. 'cause
Should
this is
I
actually
make
really
you full
important.
screen? Is it that type of?
No.
Okay.
No, just keep everyone. I want to see everyone's reactions and
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
Because I figure some of these guys know this kind of as well. Look, I've been a player, I've been a commentator, I've run tournaments, and there's something going on right now. I mean, I understand when players are frustrated or just want to play, they're getting angry, they're losing, there's a lot of pressure, all that, but the poor treatment of casters and sometimes of staff, I'm not going to get into the staff and admins and stuff like that right now because sometimes there are bad admins, sometimes there's good admins. But specifically, I'm just going to speak for myself and my other casters. We've talked about this, and so this is the end now. This has happened too much, and it's going away as of me talking about this. No, I'm serious, man, because from now on, I'm not going to use any names right now, but from now on, if anyone treats us like shit during the tournament, any of the players, they're getting called out for it because this is bullshit.
Yeah, that's true.
There are a lot of players, not all of them, there's some very sweetie pies that are always manner and nice, but there are players out there that treat us like shit when we're trying to get the games going, and it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to everyone right now, the players, the management of the players, fans, and tournament organizers. To players, cut the shit out, okay? Like, I'm in there working, every event I go to, I'm there at least for 10 hours, and I have to be on the entire time. I have to be talking about how good you are after you're being mean to me. It doesn't make any sense.
What kind of mean?
Dude, they just
Well, the thing is,
they will talk shit and be mean and start games when they shouldn't and just put us under stressful situations.
Dan,
And,
were they using your own accounts? Like, was your name Artosis when you would cast?
Yeah,
Or was it-
man.
Okay.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it
Yeah.
isn't. But they know based upon where they are, what stage they're on, who's casting them.
Okay.
But anyways, that's beside the point. Players need to cut that shit out. It needs to end here. If if I catch anyone like making fun of Tasteless before we go into a game again, oh, you are just, I swear to God, man. Like, no, I'm not joking around here, man. There's a lot of flamers out there.
What?
So, I'm not fucking around, man.
Tasteless?
This happens. People are rude. They get angry and they get rude. And you know what? The management of these players, get them the fuck under control. It cannot happen anymore. The fact that myself and Day9 and Tasteless and Apollo and Total Biscuit and Mr. Bitter and Rotterdam and all these casters that are flying around working 10 plus hours a day, we have to be on the camera. I know that pro gaming is hard and frustrating and difficult. So is casting, because it is so hard to be on a camera. As I'm sure you know, Jeff, you've done the commentating and the playing now. It's a difficult thing to do, especially when you're going out live. And to have to put up with that is so ridiculous, I cannot even tell you. So, I mean, management, get your players under control. This is actually ridiculous. To fans, eventually a tournament organizer is going to get their act together and ban these people.
Yeah,
there are going to be player bans eventually. Next year, I guarantee you some player that has flown a long way for a tournament is going to open his mouth one too many times, and he's going to get banned. And you know what? The fans need to get behind the tournament, not the player, and be like, oh, I can't believe you banned this guy. He flew so far. No.
Don't give names, but give examples.
No,
because I can't imagine. I don't know what it looks like to make fun of Tasteless before he hosts a game. I don't know what that looks like.
It's a bad thing, man. And I got so angry when this happened. It was just like, we're like just trying to get games going. And I don't want to get too specific because I'm not actually calling anyone out. I mean, I'm friends with most of these players that are even doing this. It's just, this has to be said publicly because I think, there needs to be support from the community to tournaments to be able to ban players like this. Okay, because what if there's this huge fan favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just make this sound so ridiculous. Let's say White Raw is being a little jerk, right? Of course he never is. We should all try to be like White Raw.
Fucks up, man.
Okay.
Sometimes he gets a little bit of an attitude under him.
No, he doesn't. But let's say it was him, right? People would be so angry if he got banned. But if he's treating everyone like garbage, he needs to be banned. But of course, it's not White Raw. We should all try to be like White Raw instead of, be prissy bitches that are going to actually, cause problems. And I understand. Seriously, I've been the pro player. I've been in these tournaments. I've been a dick to people before. But, the industry is growing. The jobs that we're all doing are hard and they're long hours and all that. So let's try to be nice to each other. All right, it's kind of ridiculous. So there we go. If it keeps happening, I mean, it's going to have to be called out more publicly than this. It's going to.
Well, now you've actually started the great witch hunt, man.
Something. You need to be a little bit. Give me a taste. Give me
of what?
Taste. Give me a limerick of someone's name.
A lot of players will do things such as they know that. We do things like run commercials and come out of the commercial and say a few words and start a game. A lot of players will just start, and it's like, well, they already know that they aren't allowed to do that, but they just do it because they're angry, and it's like, well, you can't do that. There's been some choice words from players as well, and there's several players that have been doing this recently.
Like what? Like you guys ready to go? And they're like, fuck you, Tasteless, you douche. And then he's like...
Almost.
What?
I'm not even fucking around here, man.
Jeez.
Like, Tasteless will be so nice in the game, and he'll be like, we're running commercials 2 minutes. And they'll be so angry at that, and it'll just be like, what the fuck is going on here? So, it's not everyone, but there are some of them. So I just wanted to let that out and let, tournament organizers go ahead, start banning players that are actually doing this too much. And I understand players that you're frustrated, try to think of other people rather than yourselves sometimes. It's hard, man, to be on camera and be on the whole time. So I don't want negativity brought into that. I want to be happy. I want to do this. We're trying to, work with the players. So, all right, that's the end of my rant.
After WCG, I expect names because I guarantee you the people you're talking about are either not listening to this or they're acting emotional, so they're not going to take it. Like, you're going to need to wave a big stick before people.
Well, look, I think that, if it happens again, then we're going to start... I talked to all the casters about this. This is happening to all of us.
I mean, it's been happening for a long time. Although I don't think it was as crazy as the event that you're referencing, but... Well,
I mean, it's happened at every event, but just more so each event. Each event, it happens more than the last. So from here on, it's done. And I'm sure that there's, team management and stuff that's listening to this, even if players aren't. And so, those team management are going to have to talk to their players and be like, hey, guys, it's over, man. There's no more treating the casters like shit. It's just, if you want your player to lose value, here's what you do. Talk shit on day 9 one more time when he's making a game.
Do you recommend they lose a game? Like, if it happens, what should the penalty be like right then? Do you think it should
You
be
can't
in the
use
rules?
a unit of the caster's choosing.
I like that rule, Jeff. I like it.
No, look.
I support your rule,
The event
Jeff.
the event can do whatever they want with that. It
Yeah.
can be brutal, it can be not brutal, because look,
Well,
if
that's what you would
type
do.
something into a game into Kespa, you lose, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you can't even do anything. So,
Yeah. We need to be
that's
at
one
that point
extreme-
for sure. in
That's
the
one
game.
extreme. And should it be that? I don't know. I would say the events can probably just make whatever rules they want, and then players just have to obey them. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's
Now-
funny because hold on, there's a rule at MLG where you're actually supposed to get penalties for typing in game, but we actually. don't.
I don't care if they want to do it for typing game or not. That doesn't.
I'm just saying,
sometimes
like-
it's really cute to see typing, but
Yeah,
it's just the poor treatment of the casters is specifically, and I'm sure that there's admins that feel similar or whatever, but I don't know. I don't want to get into that because that gets complicated. Are you a competent admin? Are you not a competent admin? But we're competent casters. We know what we're doing. We know when the commercials are and
Yeah.
when we're allowed to go and all this, and we're hired to be there and make the show good. And the reason you make money as a player is because we're casting your games and people are watching them, and there's commercials. So, and that's not the only thing, the commercial thing. There's a wide range of it, but this needs to be addressed. So,
To counterbalance this, Dan, who
Yeah.
would you rate as the number 1 easiest player to work with?
Sheth,
Okay, number 2,
White Raw.
number 3.
I don't want to go any further. In control, that's what you're looking for. There you go, in control.
If that's in it, yeah.
But people know that there's a few out there that obviously aren't causing any problems, like you guys, but there's some that are. So, yeah. So that's it.
I think that will wrap up the DreamHack talk.
You guys can literally start that game one more time. These casters are coming down on you like thunder sticks.
They will fuck you up, man. I've seen Tasteless fight. It's a fucking vicious.
I
fight.
want to see a passive-aggressive Artosis cast where, it's a repercussion for some guy being a jackass. He's like, didn't make such a good choice there. Maybe it's going to hurt him, smart-ass, so let's go back to the Zerg's base.
All right, guys. When we come back, we'll be previewing the NASL Season 2 finals happening this weekend. So don't go anywhere. And chat, stop spamming, because I'm not going to call the person that wants to be called right now. So we'll see you guys in just a couple seconds. All right, guys, welcome back. Jeff?
Yeah.
Quiet over there.
Sorry.
Let's talk about the NASL Season 2 finals happening this weekend. Super excited for this. Let's take a quick look at the bracket. We'll just read through the players. We've got Hero, Puma, Moro, Sin, Braddock, the Muslim, Idra, Hasuabs, Huck, Strelok, Thorzane, Damaga, TT1, Mana or Mana, Sheth, and Wongson. Is Hero going to win this one? I mean, Tyler, you mentioned it, so you think it's possible?
I think it's fair to say he's one of the favorites in that bracket. He was number 1 in the season from the regular season play, and he's coming off a big tournament win. Everyone knows that he's able to do it. I'm not saying he's likely to do it. I still think it's a toss-up, and there's a lot of good players that can take it. But, yeah, I think there's a strong possibility.
Jeff, I mean, who's your pick for the tournament? Are you gonna pull the team card and go with? Well, I guess it's not really a team card because they're all obvious choices: Huck, Idra, or Puma.
I was considering making a joke about not picking them, but Greg looks serious. He's serious. Yeah.
Who's serious?
I think EG will do really, really well. Unfortunately, Idra has Puma in the second round.
Yeah.
So if they get there,
Thanks, Jeff.
If they get there, Sheth.
For those
But
of
you know
you who
what,
don't know,
JP?
Sheth goes up against Puma in the round of 16.
Apparently, you know what, JP?
What's up,
I got
Jeff?
a lot of flack earlier because I wasn't critical enough of the NASL.
I'll be critical with you, man.
Okay,
You want to
so
be critical?
ready?
Let's do
I'm going
it.
to be really critical. Ready?
All right.
The NASL is guilty of trying too hard, doing too good of a job, and having gosh darn too much good stuff crammed into one place. How am I supposed to look at the NASL and figure out which good thing I want to focus on when there's literally 11 casters? There's huge stream. I mean, they're giving out free passes. It's in sunny California. I think it's stupid that they went out of their way to give free stuff to people and to bring in all these community members. I mean, we got Orb going to his first event, the Gun Run, the savior of streams. Every tournament has...
Gunrun's
Every-
actually
every tournament
a
has-
demigod.
He is
Yeah.
actually everywhere. This man has no life because he actually lives on your planet. I joke and say I do because I'm going to 6 events in 2 months, but Gun Run goes to like 9 events in 2 months, and you wonder how that is, but he fucking does it.
What is
and
his
he
Twitter?
fixes everything.
We actually have to
I
Twitter
think
bomb
it's
him right
the
now.
Gun Run.
Is it? Let
It's
me.
the Gun Run. Yeah.
That's my thoughts too.
All right,
And you guys
everyone go
all ask-
twitter.com/the
You need to tell him how much
Add
you love
him.
him.
And he
send
does it
him
with a
tweets.
smile.
He's
Oh,
actually... Hold on.
He does.
The entire reason that any pro player streams is pretty much because of Gunrun, because he will actually
Yeah.
just come in, say, all right, install this program, you install it, and then he takes over your mouse and sets everything up in 5 minutes, and your stream works flawlessly.
And he'll
So-
do that. While he's doing that, he's at an event saving their internet. Okay? This is not even a joke. Like, this is...
Before we go too far, though, Dan, come on now.
He's crazy good.
I was ranting and being critical of the
Okay,
NASL.
go.
All right, yeah, anyways. Let's go
Okay.
back to being critical. Sorry.
Please. If I could take a step back and like give them some props, good job. Thanks for putting on the event, I guess. But if you're going to continue to do such a fucking awesome job about it and make here's my dilemma: NASL's on. What the fuck? Do I watch the NASL or do I watch some of these other excellent streams? I don't know. They don't make it easy on me. If they were doing a shittier job, I could easily cancel out the NASL, but they have to try and improve and do a good job. So Russell Pfister, I know you're out there. You're probably listening. I've had it up to here. Okay, you've set the bar way too high. Getting sick and tired of all this good stuff you're giving us. That's all I have to say.
All right.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Dan, before we get too critical, who's your pick to win the
Dude.
tournament, man?
This is so difficult for me. I'm looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And here's the thing. Hero will beat Huangshin. And the Huck Haswabs, actually, you'd just think, you'd be like, all right, Huck should take that. Haswabs, though, can get really interesting in PvP. He's pretty clever. So I don't actually know who will win that. That's actually, I give the edge to Huck, but I understand that Haswabs can beat him there, possibly. So then it's one of those two against Hero. Now, I feel like, looking at the bracket, that if Hero makes it past that PvP, he'll take this tournament. But I think that's the hardest thing from right there. If he hits Huck, I think that's super hard. If he hits Hasselhoff's, it'll be hard, but not as hard as Huck, I think, for some reason. This is the way my brain works. So then I look at that, and I'm like, if Hero doesn't make it to the semifinals, I think Sen might take this tournament.
Whoa.
So that's my thought process.
You know, that's actually
Sen
not...
is
It's not
Sen
that big
is
of a
still
pick,
waiting.
but you just don't think about him, that he could actually just win a tournament.
Who's Sen?
Yeah, but I mean, he actually
Dude,
can, man.
Sen is.
That good.
It doesn't matter who's in the tournament, man. He's
always
up there
viable, you
every
just don't
time.
think about
You
it.
can't stop him. Like I mean, Damaga could possibly kill Sen in the quarterfinals, maybe.
Yeah.
But you know, Sen. I gotta say, if Hero makes it to the semifinals, he wins. If he doesn't, I feel like Sen might win, maybe. Of course, there's like Huck and Hydra and Puma, and Sheth and Thorzane, but I mean,
Much as
this is.
Artosis silently predicts everyone to win.
I know. No, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll just leave it at that prediction. I feel like Sen is like overdue for a tournament, and he's not. I don't know. He's probably tired too, though. Everyone is actually. Did Sen go back to Taiwan in between DreamHack and this?
I am not...
Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I think he did, but I don't know.
Because actually, that plays in Huck's. Huck is at the EG house, right?
Yep.
Well, that plays in Huck's favor. Hero must be somewhere in America, right? Am I right?
No.
No, he went back to Korea.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oh, he
Jesus,
actually
it's
probably
gonna
won
be
the
so
tournament because of that.
He's in
I
Korea.
don't know, man. Then maybe Huck gets a little bit further. Maybe Huck can beat Sen then, because that's like a lot of jet lag right there.
Yeah, that's actually becoming a more, or towards the end of this year, it's becoming such a problem now that each weekend these players are going to a different part of the...
This is the craziest
Whoa.
run ever, man.
Yeah, I mean, for
craziest.
you, it was what, Providence to Sweden to Korea?
Yeah. And
Actually, you know who's
it's
actually
hard.
had the craziest trip, Ortosis? It's Mr. Bitter. That guy was in Europe to Providence to Sweden and now back over to California.
He was in like Shanghai the week before, or Chengdu or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's right,
so-
for IEM, I think.
Yeah,
So-
Mr. Bitter. Well, actually, here's the thing. It wasn't Mr. Bitter. It was actually the Gun Run, who's been at every single.
And
This
we're
isn't
back.
even a joke, guys. He's been at every single event.
That's true, yeah.
Gun Run has gone to every event.
Yeah,
He's
so...
filled like 7 passports this year.
Yes. So one of the other things that is great about the NASLC caster list, we've got Day 9, DJ Wheat, Husky, Greetorp, Orb, Diggity, Rotterdam, Mr. Bitter, and Gunrun. It cannot be stated enough that, and I think DreamHack was finally a place where the public really got to see this, that you actually need a lot of casters at these events because they are so incredibly tiring. And if your casters don't get a break, you end up losing your voice like Artosis did. You end up sleeping on the couch like Day 9 was. I don't really know how I can say you end up getting an eye infection like Nick did, because I don't think you will. But, I mean, you get sick. It happens. It's a crazy, crazy,
It happens, man.
Let's do this.
crazy job. What's up, Jeff?
Dan, would you want to hear Huck's counter argument to what you're saying?
My crown argument to treating casters poorly?
Yes.
Is there a counter argument?
Would
There
you
is.
like to hear it? Chris?
Just have him come
Would
sit.
you
I mean-
Here, Jeff, just have him sit where you're at right now.
Go ahead, man.
But then I
mean-
can't hear.
Oh,
Okay, Chris.
have him calling. Go ahead.
Fuck.
That's
Well,
fine.
it's gonna
I mean,
fuck
if there's
up everything
actually a
on the
counter argument
show.
Do you wanna
to
come
treating
yell at
casters
Artosis?
poorly.
It's not really a
Don't-
counter argument. Like I can almost tell you
Huh?
what he's gonna say.
Well,
Do you want to talk to Artosis?
All right, tell me.
this is
ahead of time.
happening.
Before the casters should be treated that much better, the players need to be treated better.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Huck's-
great,
Huck's
but
coming.
that. All right, let's have Huck come on and.
That was my thoughts. That's my opinion of what he's gonna say.
I mean, that's a fine thing to say. I hope he says something like that. Yo, Huck, how's it going, buddy? Oh, I like that T-shirt.
Thank you. I don't know what your statement or rant was exactly about, but I mean, is it what I think it's about?
Oh, it's about some of these players, man, are.
Well, it was
What's
like
so
very
funny about it?
non-specific. Like,
Well, I'm trying to make it non-specific. It's just the overall fact that sometimes the players get in the game and are not treating the casters well at all. They're like just starting games. They're just saying rude little quips and stuff when we're trying to be on and get the game started and be funny in front of a camera and charming and stuff like that. So that type of thing, I've talked with all the casters and we like all agree together that stuff like really needs to stop and players need to be more reasonable with the casters.
like that's a valid point and all, but when you have, you're sitting there, you're waiting to play your second game, and you just lost the first game. Like you said, players are emotional.
Oh, I
And
know,
then-
man.
And then a caster tells you, okay, give us 1 minute, we're just setting up. And then, it takes like 15 minutes, and you're just sitting there waiting for a game to start. I mean,
Oh no, that's
That's
frustrating
not-
as hell. That's true. But here's the thing: you got to remember, it's not the caster forcing that. The caster's giving you the ETA that his producer's giving him. So if that goes back, that has nothing to do with the caster. We want to get these games right going, man. We do not like to wait a long time in between games. We've already all been players. For instance, myself, Dana, and Tasis have all done the player thing, you know. So we want to get these games started, and we want to get into the next game immediately and all this, but there's always these huge technical difficulties going on at cast. There's like all these commercials that they make us run. We're like, can we just start? They're like, no, you know, there's a commercial coming up, and this happens in every single tournament. So, I mean, to treat that's something that needs to be brought up with the event, not with the caster, right before the caster has to go live.
I mean, yeah, I can see some of that coming up some of the time, but there's still obvious problems where that's not true, like where a caster will basically just tell you, you know, the game's going to start in like 5 minutes, you know, we need you to host right now, and then you go host and you invite them, and then they just don't accept. I mean, commercial or not, you know, they're obviously just not accepting, and I'm sure they want to get the game started. And then as far as like bad comments to casters, I know I said something to Tasis that obviously was a little bit harsh, but he said some dumb thing to me about, you know, I don't know if you remember what he said in Game Lobby, but he said something that was kind of offensive to a player, and, you know, when he says something like that, and, you know, I love Nick, but Nick has a reputation.
No, I know, he
for,
loves you too, that's fine.
you know, and...
Well, look, that's all good and all. I mean, I'm sure things can be improved on either side, this was not like a rant about you at all. This was actually, there are so many players doing things like this. So this is something that has to be addressed no matter what. You know, I can't tell you how frustrating it is for the casters to have any players being mean to them. We're like trying really hard to get this event going and keep it looking good.
Yeah,
What's
I
Huck
mean...
doing?
I don't. He's building a
just saying-
contraption or something.
No, I'm like standing up. There's no chair here. So, yeah, like
Jeff
I've had
has been
a talk-
kicked off the show. See you later, Jeff.
like you said, you've talked to the casters. You know, a bunch of the players have talked about the situation as well, and players,
That's great.
you know, are completely mistreated right now compared to casters on multiple levels, not just, you know, player treatment.
Well,
but
that can be argued either way, man. I mean, we
No.
work, 10 to 16 hours a day. It's pretty hard.
no, I
There's
agree.
labor laws against that.
DreamHack was rough for casters, but you know, we go through the same schedule as you do. Me and Greg, you know, had to stay up until we didn't get to bed till 2 a.m. and then had to wake up the next morning for an 8 a.m. to play. So we have it rough too, and we have hard
Yeah.
schedules too. And you know, just I don't know, players versus casters. There's a huge difference
Well, there's-
between.
Okay, I can see how that's frustrating, but my whole thing, and that I mentioned in it, is that, yeah, I'm sure that there's things wrong with some admins and whatnot, but this is all stuff players should be taking up with tournaments and admins, not the casters, because the thing is, we have to perform. We have to actually be on. You know, the second that camera goes on, I have to be smiling, happy, in a good mood, conveying my passion to the audience, analyzing games correctly, and I have to do that sometimes 14 times a day, you know, like in 14 best of threes, which can be like 30-something games, 40 games sometimes.
I'm not arguing it to you to try to like get
Yeah,
you players. I'm just
No, that
saying
I-
that you're complaining about
I
caster
think that
problems
this
when
is
there's
two
huge player
very similar
problems, too.
rants. I think this is two very similar rants. Like, I think ours is the, players respect that we aren't the ones doing this, and yours is the, there's shit wrong right now with StarCraft tournaments. And I agree with absolutely both of them, man. And that's something that I think, there's some time off now. There's only 2 events left in the season, basically. So I think this is something that, like, all players and teams should be talking about with events, If these things are really bugging you guys, you need to talk with the events about it, because, that's something we all have to do.
It can't really
but
be
this
argued
is-
that the players and casters, that it's justified for them to be rude to each other. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
they're
No,
under the same
freedom is
constraints.
Yeah.
So in the end, like, a
We're all
player
being hired
should
by this
just,
event, basically.
yeah, a player should talk to their coach or manager, and the manager is going to get the ear of the tournaments, and that's the way stuff is going to get done, I think. At least for the players. And then
Absolutely, man.
I
I actually-
know. I didn't.
you
wanna
got to be polite, though.
Yeah, well,
wanna-
I don't want to argue like the differences. I was just bringing that
Yeah.
up, saying that players
Yeah,
are
it's a good-
treated as much
Well,
as
that's a good
casters.
statement, man.
That's a good addition.
I agree.
I want to say though that a lot of the times, like I think it's weird because as a player, like maybe it's not even the casters that are telling you stuff. Maybe the refs. I'm not saying refs are bad or anything, but sometimes they'll be like, okay, we need you here now. Like, okay, you can't take a break now. And then when the ref tells you something like that, and you get there, and then the caster's like, 10 minutes, yeah, and the ref's like, no, sit here. And then your producer's like, just sit there, don't do anything,
Well,
and you're like, what the heck?
I
So
think
we counter each other.
I
and
think
it's
everyone's kind of
like
missing
that
the
producer.
point. The fact is the tournament has to run, and everyone has to be. I mean, it's a giant cogwheel. Every wheel has to turn at the same time. So a player has to be ready. A caster has to be ready to cast. So the caster's making sure the player's ready. The player's being told by the ref to sit down and play, so that when the caster is ready to go, they can start the game. I mean, no one's really to blame. I think that maybe people are getting, I guess, defensive or something, or silly comments are being had that probably shouldn't be said all around. But I mean, no one's there to blame. I mean, it's not a tournament's fault that they're trying to run their tournament on time. They do have to run commercials because, hey, you have to make money to be a business. Like, I don't think that. I think this is just a giant kind of circle discussion that doesn't really need to be said. But I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Artosis, and I guess Huck as well?
Wait, about which part? The turn, all the.
Well, I mean, just everything. Like it. There's no one
it's
to
a
blame.
complicated thing. It is. Well, I mean,
Well, let me
this
just
needs
say
to be
this.
worked on from every edge.
Yeah.
Let me
From
say
every
this:
angle.
is that like when you're trying to synchronize everyone, someone is going to be ready first and is going to have to wait around, and
Right.
that's almost always the player, and that's
For sure.
maybe they should be the last person to be ready. Because, I mean, their performance is what matters most for the content, I think, or at least
Yeah.
for the integrity of the competition. And I'm not
For the
saying,
integrity, yeah. That's certainly true.
I mean, for the content, the casters maybe play a bigger role in some cases, but for the integrity of the competition, you definitely need to have your players taken care of. And, I mean, for the most part, they're the ones that get ready first. And like Sheth said, a ref will say, you have to be ready now, and just wait around until everyone else is ready, and that's just frustrating for anyone. And when it's a lot of times it seems unnecessary, like you could predict the delays and let the player know, and then the player could go to the bathroom if he needs to, or just relax for a second, get mentally prepared or whatever, and then that just doesn't happen. Like it's never really made more efficient. It's always just a little bit inefficient with all these kind of safety checks just to make sure that when the stream is ready, when the broadcast is ready for the game to start, then the game starts. And a lot is sacrificed for that.
Yeah, and I mean, that happens on the caster side, too. I've had events where I've had to be on standby 5 hours before I first go live. This has actually happened to me.
10 hours is actually.
Oh, yeah, I had a 10-hour one, too, actually.
10-hour one was
Thank
the
you,
worst,
JP.
man. That was
That
actually
was pretty
terrible.
bad. But I mean, imagine sitting around at an event for 10 hours waiting, and they're like,
The day
can I
before,
leave?
so
Can
you
I go
can't do
eat?
anything.
And they're like, no.
We had that. We've had that as players too, though. Not
Oh,
10 hours, but I've had like 5 hours as a player for that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
That
it's
just shouldn't
rough,
happen.
man. It is. And, I mean, we need to keep cutting down on these times and stuff and make it less frustrating.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is true. But, I mean, specifically, my rant, I think, was more towards some players that are, like, getting unbelievably rude in the game.
Like, I just tweeted at you and eventually came on, but I just tweeted at you because I figured maybe that was directed at me somewhat. Because I
No.
know I did say something mean
It's
or somewhat
happened.
mean to Nick.
Many times before.
I mean, you're not like a big offender in this. This is
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to go in and name names. I'm not going to name names because I think everyone deserves. Because I understand this. I was actually the biggest prick in StarCraft 1, guys. I was like, you guys think I just bad manner? He learned that from me. Is this not true? Fucking Sean and is this not true?
Yeah,
All right, so I
it's,
get this. I want there
it's
to
true.
be some time in between this where players can be like, all right, let's calm down a little bit. Let's all work together. The show is made by the casters and the players together. So yeah, that's all.
Okay, I'm letting Jeff back on his show.
Thanks, Huck,
All right,
for
see
coming
ya,
on.
Huck.
Bye.
Bye,
Fuck
Chris.
it,
See you later,
ASL.
Huck. Go watch Huck stream after the show.
I like your shirt from thehandsomernerd.com.
Terrible plug. That's good. Let's see if Jeff, do you have any thoughts on this before we move on, man? I'm not sure what you could hear.
I didn't hear Dan's piece. I could hear Chris though.
Oh, it was all really good.
Yeah.
Actually.
I think we're set. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Unless you have something really profound, Jeff.
Jeff,
I have
do you have? All right, he's got something
Tyler!
profound.
Go for it. Okay, I set you up now. This better be so good.
I didn't hear whether or not he put this, but I just put one part out there. Obviously, mutual respect needs to be had and proper treatment. But if I had a bias, it would be on the side of the player. Like, if anything tilts a player, if anything's said to a player while they're about to play this really important match, their entire career can get fucked up if they get like completely tilted or say the wrong thing or act the wrong way. So I think casters in particular and admins should be really careful with what they say to them.
Yeah.
Just because they're so emotional at that time. That's all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, I mean, everyone has to get better at. That's what we do. I mean, each tournament, everyone tries to be better. So. Let's move on, if we can, back to... actually, no, let's move on to NSL. I have one last thing I want to say. So, the entire NSL Season 2, the stream numbers have been low, especially in comparison to the first season. They've had a ton of struggles. Obviously, the biggest one was the one with the Koreans, or some Koreans choosing not to participate. Do what? Most Koreans. I guess that would be the most accurate one. And this also... Was it a 4-week delay that this caused, Jeff? Do you know how long it was?
It was at least a couple.
So a couple weeks it was delayed. So, I mean, my question is, does NASL live or die with the success or failure of this tournament? I mean, if this is a giant bomb, will the NASL go on to Season 3? Is what I want to kind of pose and get your guys' thoughts on. So, Jeff,
I think
we'll
a
start with
lot
you.
of tournaments live by the if this is a giant bomb. I hate to be the editorial, but I think
Yeah.
the question is, at least the question that would interest me would be, does NASL have to knock it out of the park to survive? Because you preface this with
That's probably
their
a good
numbers
question,
haven't been as good, they don't have Koreans, are things going south for them? And I can tell you, having talked to Russ, actually, what a league has to do is make itself lucrative enough and attractive enough to sponsors to say, hey, if you get on board with us, we'll put eyes on your product, we'll get your name out there, and we'll benefit you. And NASL has been able to do that. They're getting sponsors. They're talking to bigger and better opportunities. And I think financially and business-wise on the back end, they're actually on the up and up. In terms of viewership, I think part of the reason they're on the downturn is because they've kind of cooled off, but also the tournament selection we have these days is outrageous. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in like an awesome way. Like IPL is producing content almost every single day. The Playhems get pretty big name players towards their finals every single time. There's all these great shows. There's all these great tournaments. Like, not as many people are counting on the NASL to be their nightly content thing, and I think NASL just has to cope with that. And I think to a certain extent they have. So I think the scene on a whole is changing, and NASL has taken some hits, but they're finding out that they're not the league that was going to have 20,000 viewers every single night. They're the league that's going to have 3, 4, 5,000 viewers each night. But they're going to have that every single night, and then they're going to have a great finals. And if they are happy with that, then I think that their business model will work.
Before I ask everyone else their thoughts on this, Jeff, I want to ask you, do you think that the fact that they are on, is it 5 times a week or 4 times a week? It's 5?
4 or 5.
They're on a shit ton during the week.
Yeah.
Do you think that is why a lot of people don't watch, because it's an oversaturation of content coming out from them?
I do. I think Season 1... It
kind of a new
worked
thing.
for like a novelty, exactly. Yeah. I think everyone was like, cool, this can be my ESPN, or like so many people wrote us at the NASL saying, man, this is what I come home to every single night and I really look forward to it. But as time went on, unless they're like really doing a shot in the arm every season to change things up, I don't think that monotony is what the StarCraft 2 community in general wants. So my biggest complaint, and I've said this about GSL, but I'll say it about NASL as well, is I really think oversaturation is, on the long haul, not good. Now, I don't have Russ's vision, so maybe this is exactly what he wants, and that's, that would be fair for him to say. But for me, personally, on the outside now of NASL, I don't work with him at all anymore.
Yeah, it should be stated that you are not affiliated with NASL.
Right, not at all. My only affiliation is that Russ owns Ghost Coaching. And he's a friend of mine, so I'm not going to sit here and like badmouth the guy. I don't have anything bad to say. But if I could be critical of the NASL, I feel like if they had a once-a-week, high-end production, boom, kind of production, they'd be great. Now, the other critical thing, I will get a little bit critical here, is something they did different this year. Sorry.
That's the buzzword of like the internet right now. The StarCraft community is critical.
they did their games differently this time because they wanted to shorten the schedule on their end so that they could not spend as much money and time. But in doing so, players were playing 2 or 3 matches a time, and that's really good for NASL and their production, but it's really bad for the players, but then also the observers because they were seeing matches that were played sometimes 2 or 3 weeks in advance, whereas Season 1, it was 1 week in advance. And I think
Even longer than that. I had
Yeah.
some matches much longer than 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I
and
did too.
Like double that.
yeah, so I mean, I think 1 week is okay. Like I can wrap my head around that, but anytime you start stretching that too far, I think it gets pretty bad. And then also, if you have a bad day, like I actually played my first 6 matches, as it were, which were played on 2 play days, while I was dealing with a severe, depressive, disorder or whatever. I was going through a really rough patch, and my games were terrible, and it was really bad. And of course, as a player, we have to deal with that. But it's nice in a long, drawn-out league like this where we can say, okay, I had an off day against Sheth, but at least I can get my shit together and give a good series to Tyler in the next week, right? Like that's what we fall back on, and we had that in Season 1. But in Season 2, if you had a bad day, you're out. That's it. It's over, and you play out the rest of the season kind of as an obligation, because if you don't, you'll get fined, which I think is still okay. But
Yeah.
it's kind of tough format-wise that way, and hopefully they'll live and learn and move forward with a better scheduling process.
So, Tyler, I'm going to throw this to you so you can't use the excuse that someone else already said what you were going to say. So, I mean, what are your opinions on the NASL Season 2? I mean, like Jeff said, do they have to perform an incredible tournament to survive here?
Yeah, I think... I think the regular season is kind of a failure. I mean, I don't know behind the scenes. I think Jeff summarized it pretty well, but I just feel like looking at their numbers and looking at how much effort they put in to get that content and then get those numbers for the regular season, like, it seems like a lot of other people are being more efficient than that. Of course, not all content is equal. Like their 5,000 viewers could be worth more to sponsors than, 5,000 viewers of some players streaming ladder games. So you can't directly compare, but even with that in mind, it doesn't seem like it's that great of a venture to what they're doing right now with the regular season. But as for the finals, I think they just need to have a nice, good, solid tournament. And as usual,
Yeah.
it's kind of going to end up, are there good games? And they're just going to cross their fingers and hope that they have good games. Like, I think they're going to do fine. I don't think they're going to be the best tournament ever and blow everyone away. But I think it'll be way better than their first one, and it'll be on par with everything else that's going on, like DreamHack and MLGs. I think they're going to do a pretty good job, and they're just going to have to hope that there are good games. Because if there are not,
Yeah.
then it's just a bummer for them, because then they're just kind of out of the minds of everyone. Like they dropped out of the minds of the masses for the regular season, and now that there have been so many major tournaments going on, and NASL is just another drop in the bucket. If nothing special happens for them, then they won't have a lot of momentum going into Season 3. But I still think they're going to do Season 3, and it's going to be another fresh opportunity for them if Season 2 isn't absolutely spectacular.
I want to pose a question, kind of playing devil's advocate for you, Tyler. Do you think that the NASL Season 1 final was saved because of how good the Grand Finals was, looking back?
Yeah, I think it was. I think there were just too many problems with the running of that first event. And of course they smoothed things out by the end, but even once they had smoothed things out and got things operable so that at least you could watch it, it still wasn't perfect. It was definitely a tier below other productions that were going on at that time or around that time. So they were really lucky to get the finals they did, and that helped them a ton.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that was kind of the final series was one of the best series of StarCraft I've ever seen
To
in my
this
life.
day, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that amazing series, if they have a flat TBT or
They
some
have a
boring
GSL
ass,
final.
yeah, if they have a bad final just in terms of gameplay, I think a lot of people would walk away from NASL Season 1 and say, we'll see. But the novelty of Spore, kind of the emotional, just that the final in general was just so amazing. And they did get their shit together, and they were able to put on a production. I won't disagree with Tyler. I mean, it's still not an MLG or IPL, but you know what? To a certain extent, I think NASL kind of owns that. They don't try to be an MLG or IPL. They say we're a grassroots movement, like we're a production put on by a bunch of people who aren't a news company or something like that. So that's less an excuse and more an identity, I would say. And moving into Season 2, I think Season 2, the regular season, has been lackluster for a lot of people. So I'm hoping that the finals will be a huge bang and will give them that shot in the arm so they can make the next round of adjustments and improvements for Season 3. And then NASL can be that league that people count on, so we'll see.
Do you know, by the way, if Lindsay's going to be back for this event, Jeff? Has that been stated? I'm just asking.
I'll say this, and I hope I'm not betraying anyone's trust, but from what I understand, they've had very little contact with her throughout the regular season, actually. She's actually kind of like, she's blown up in her own acting career, so I think she might have moved on. But if you do see her at that finals, my God, make sure and ask her all the appropriate questions and get those videos on the internet, because I don't know how much Spore we're going to get, because she's kind of she was in a Conan commercial a while ago. Actually, she's kind of big time. She's like a
blown up.
She's like a solid D-list actor now, or actress. Yeah.
She owes NASL. Artosis and Sheth. I mean, a lot's been said about NASL, but what are your thoughts on Season 2? And I mean, how much does the finals really ride on NASL surviving or moving into Season 3? I guess is probably the best way to put it. Whoever wants to speak first, I won't.
I would imagine that they're already set on Season 3. They said that they already were set for 3 seasons no matter what, so I would say nothing really rides on it. Well, of course something does. They have to put on a good show. And, I mean, if you look at from day 1 of the last finals to day 3, the ways in which they improved in that short amount of time was unfathomable. I could not believe that they went from nothing working the first day, like everything falling apart, to the second day. I thought it was really good production for a first event for like an indie esports company, And they've got like a sick lineup of players and a lot of amazing matches. And I mean I'll be watching
lineup, man.
Basically the whole tournament. I'm excited for every single match here. Every match in the first round looks really good, and after that it just gets way better. So
sure.
It's going to be a kick-ass event, man. I'm sad that it happened to overlap with GSL Finals, or I would still be on a fucking plane instead of in my own home.
Sheth, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, you bet. Well, first of all, I can confirm Lindsay Spore will not be there. Russ just told me that.
That's too bad.
Sorry, guys.
Why did you tell me that? What the?
I don't know.
Well, you almost betrayed his trust, Jeff.
You become his greatest enemy.
Do they have a replacement at all, Sheth? Did he tell you that?
I don't know. I don't know that.
I look great in
just
heels. Can I just put that out there?
All right. Well, some things I wanted to say. NASL, they have like the largest amount of games of any tournament. Like leading up to it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I still think that's awesome, and I think once they get it straight that it should be live, or like if it's live every time and they do it for like 5-6 weeks and they have the finals, like I think that would be something everyone wants to see. And I really hope they'll get that for next season. But something I'd like to see changed is in the finals, like you fly out there and you have like the 6-7 weeks of games to decide if you get there, and then you have a best of 5 with one person. There's no loser bracket. If you happen to fight the guy who's going to win the whole thing, you're done. There's no way around it. And like I think that's tough. Like if you've watched all that long just to see your player and then they lose first round, it's tough, and especially because the maps are like randomized the first pick, so I think that's a little bit tough. Yeah,
that's an interesting
that's kind of tough. I mean, a lot of tournaments do that, so it's not like it's something that NASL does, but I think this is again something that like more of when Dan did his rant against players, I kind of felt like the rant against tournaments where like the same thing with in DreamHack, every map was randomized. I ended up getting like Shakuris and Terminus against the Protoss, and I didn't like that. And then again here I get Krivas against Puma, and it's really tough. So not that I think that's like really unfair, really imbalanced, but I would much prefer a veto system. Dan's like high-fiving me for that maybe, or he's just holding a hand.
High five also. They should change the maps and stuff. I just raised my hand because I want to talk next. That's all.
Oh.
I don't want to interrupt you because you're
Is
doing
that the
really
system
well.
here at State of the
No,
Game?
I'm trying to not interrupt.
That's
why I'm
actually a
raising my
smart
hand.
system, man. We should
So I
just do
actually
the
just
raising
screwed
hands.
it up, man.
You
I
fucked
screwed
up
it
everything.
I was good intentions, right?
But I really think NASL this finals will be amazing. I'm looking forward to all the games. Each game is casted. That's the thing I think is great.
That is a
And
good
go ahead,
thing,
Dan.
yeah.
You said something really interesting in the beginning, and you said you hope that everything can be cast live. You mean like the matches are in the regular season, right? And you think that would help out a lot?
Yeah,
Now,
I think it'd be great.
this is like something that's weird for me because they're almost live in an ASL. They're like really. I mean, they're a day later, right? Am I wrong about this?
Well,
In
they're
this season,
recorded
they're like
live but broadcasted
weeks.
later, right?
In season 1.
Oh, okay. It's different for season 2.
In
Somewhat.
season 2, it was some. I mean, we already covered this, didn't we? Like,
Season
I'm
two,
just
I
for
think.
clarification.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
confused. Then,
some of
'cause
the
I was
games
like, it's
were
only like a
played
day later.
weeks ago. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a match like over a month later.
I mean, they were working around other events and stuff, so that's why some of them got bolstered.
Well, it's actually
blown
fucking
up.
impossible to do that. I mean, to run
Yeah, no,
to do
that's
that live
hard,
each
man.
day.
Yeah.
When we ran the Global Invitational, like, it was actually the hardest thing
That
in the
was
world.
that was
Yeah.
a nightmare.
It was.
They had
yeah.
their struggles.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
I don't think it was incompetence on their part. I think they
No,
were just
no,
stuck
no,
in a
for sure.
difficult situation, and hopefully they can.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
especially
as-
the way the
as an
season
observer-
started was impossible.
As an observer of that ASL, I didn't even really notice that. But I mean, do you think that would make a huge difference to the fans that if all the matches were live?
I think
does
that's-
make
I'm
a
wondering about
difference.
this.
It does make a difference.
It's like
See,
I
but-
always wonder like how many people watch GSL live
Yeah.
as opposed to the VODs. That's always something I'm really interested in. And like a lot of the people I meet are like, yeah, I watch it live, and it's like, oh my god, that's like 4 a.m. for you. What are you doing? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Jeff,
Like,
can you
Of course, that's something I would do, but
Can you
I don't
explain? I mean, I don't understand
Sure.
the difference than watching a live broadcast of a
Right.
replay.
I don't understand it, but I like to watch it live more. Like
Well-
See,
I know that
I-
it'll be quicker to watch the VODs, but I'll sit through the commercials to watch
Well,
it live.
I'm not speaking
It's
VODs.
fun.
I'm speaking like casting from replays, like an ASL does. I guess they're
Oh.
playing a VOD.
No, they don't cast from replays.
No, they're not casting replays.
They
So
cast
they're
it
casting
live.
it live, but they're replaying
Let
the
me
VOD.
let me clarify this because a lot of
This is a
people seem to
fucking
somehow,
bizarre-
after 6 months, still get this wrong. But what happens in season 1?
Somehow, I
versus
don't know
season
how we fuck up like that. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
2. Dan, listen, I've had enough of your casting guff for right now. Okay, me as a player, I need to back off right now. I'm just kidding, obviously. They cast the live games, and then the NESL arguments that they want to put that through production. So they want to cut out the fluff. They want to cut out stuff. They
Gotcha.
want to put in the proper sponsorship love. They want to make it really nice, graphical.
Yeah.
Now,
And
IPL
then-
does this too, right?
Yeah, IPL does.
IPL cast replays. I thought.
Well,
might even
anyways,
do that.
they put it through production, is what I'm saying. Is they don't.
No,
cast
they
live.
cast live. Sometimes they do cast live.
Okay.
I remember seeing Pain User in HD reading chat. In a
So I know
broadcast.
season 2. I
think they
was-
cast replays live. I don't think
Anyways,
that's
season
live.
1
Yeah,
was
Jeff.
within a week. Now, in season 2, the problem is that it's been 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. I don't know if it's gone beyond 3, but it's been multiple weeks as opposed to what happened in the first time. That's because they were scheduling around events, but it's also because they were playing multiple players at one time. So I would play my 1 week, 2 week, and 3 week in one play day. And then the third week broadcast would be 4 or 5 weeks later. The reason they would do that is, again, to cut down their broadcasting schedule so they could spend more time preparing for the finals, production value of the actual event, but also so that they're paying people for their time, but it's less time, right? So it's more affordable for NASL. The observer experience and why they have a tough time with that is people want to see things live, so there's this weird balance where it's like, okay, I can't see it live because then people would cheat for a $30,000 tournament, obviously, or 50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we need to have some buffer of time. Is 1 day acceptable? Okay, well, if you think 1 day is acceptable, how about 3 or 4 so that we can get that production turnaround? And that's where that argument is. So some people are like, this is 2 weeks old? Well, fuck it. You know, there was a metagame shift in this matchup. I can't even watch it now. And I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
respect
yeah.
that. I don't share that. I could watch Nest's early rounds of GSL and still be entertained and love it. But there is a certain proximity of that spark. Like, I'm more interested in a Nest match now because it's at the actual moment of that play. You can feel the energy a little bit better. So my hope, my what I would want for NASL to do in Season 3 is to close that gap, to have it within 1 or 2 days, because they've gotten better at the production. They know how to fine-tune that stuff. And hopefully they have the manpower in place and the experience necessary to speed up that process. And if they do that, I think they'll be much better for it.
Well, I'm long overdue for a commercial break, so I will actually get killed for this. But when we come back, we'll do some round of 16 productions and wrap up our NSL talk. So we will be, as soon as I find this stupid thing, right back. And Tyler, enjoy Skyrim.
You bitch.
Really, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
We're good. We're good.
I have it kind of
I have it
memorized.
open.
No,
He's
no,
in it,
no,
man.
no.
Oh, he's in it.
Just the ones that I remember. I just remember a few.
The ones you remember are the ones you have memorized. That's
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
They're formats. That's about it. And yeah, my English could use work. I know. I just playing Strelok, and then I'm playing Puma, and that's going to be one area.
Well, obviously,
Bring it
I
back
mean,
in
I
now.
like the boys' chances. I think Huck's got PvP on lockdown. Hasuops is what? Oh, we're just doing that way. Idra beats Straylock. It's going to be a 3-2.
It's probably 3-2, man.
Unflinching.
Strelok always takes games off people, man.
I just predicted you beat Straylock 3-2, and you didn't even give me a smirk. Okay, fuck you. Thank you. Waiting for a reaction. There we go. It'll
Was
be
that
3-1.
his laugh?
No, that's Chris.
Oh,
3-1.
Okay, I thought so.
Puma will demolish Sheth 3-0, and I can feel the power.
Ouch.
I'm just kidding. Give me a break. It'll be 3-0 though. And then what's the other match?
Well, that's it for now. Sheth,
Yep.
do you know the bracket?
You're muted, I think, JP.
No, I'm
So
unmuted
they
now.
can
I
hear you.
caught it.
Okay.
The
Cool.
two matches above that, well, actually, you have to tell me the two matches above that now that I already...
Alright, well, now that I have it up, it's Mara
Oh,
versus
God, you cheater.
the Muslim versus Thorzane.
All right, Artosis, who wins those two match? Moro Mana, the Muslim Thorzane. The Muslim Thorzane's actually going to be pretty good.
Yeah, the Muslim Thorzane is hard for me to say. I haven't seen the Muslim's TVT lately. So, I mean, is he going mech Jeff or is he going bio?
I don't know. DeMuslim's been on a break, and he's been in Brit 10, so
Yeah.
he
I
did
guess
play in that Britain tournament, and he did okay, but we'll see.
I guess I give that to Thorzane. Mana that's actually pretty hard to predict there. I haven't seen Maro's ZVP in a while. He seems to have like fallen off the radar for a little bit.
Well, if I told you the
Those are like
first map,
hard ones to do.
if I told you the first map in PvZ in that matchup is Karas, would that let you change it?
All right, so I guess we'll go with Mana on that one.
Tyler, we're going to throw the other portion of the bracket. TT1 Sin and Braddock Damaga. Who wins those?
I think Sen is going to beat T21. I'm sure that T21 will probably take a game, probably. So I'd say 3-1. T21 comes out with some good builds and nice timings and stuff. And one will probably work on Sen, but I think Sen is pretty clearly the better player right now. Damaga Braddock, harder for me to say. I think that one will be close if they're both playing their best and come prepared and everything. So 3-2 one way or the other, but I can't pick a winner for that one.
And Sheth, the top half of the bracket falls to you. Hero Wongsin and Huck Hasuobs.
Oh, PvP. That's really volatile. In Hero Huangsin, I really think Hero will win, but I think it'll be actually pretty close. I'm gonna say something like 3-1, 3-2, but like really close games. Like not like anyone had a clear advantage or it was a walkover or anything.
Yep.
And then Hasuobs versus Huck. I think we kind of even talked about this earlier
Yeah,
amongst
Artosis brought it
ourselves.
up a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that, where it's PvP, it's really tough, and Huck does like really well. Me and Huck talked about this too. Does really well against like top level players, and then in PvP he can like lose to anyone.
Yeah.
But he
PvP,
beats
man.
like, he beats the top level players, but then like he can lose. So I'll say Huck will win,
Hasuobs
but
is
3-2.
clever, man.
I'm sorry, are you
Yeah.
saying Hasuobs is not top level?
Do you know
Well,
where
that's
he's
what
from?
I said.
You know where Hasuobs is from, right?
Sheth,
At least
you
the
understand?
continent. Do you know what
he's from
continent?
Europe. That means when he wakes up, he walks to his computer, he plugs his arm into his mouse and his keyboard, and he plays on the motherfucking European ladder, man.
It's the best of the best, man.
Hasuobs? Okay, don't let the name fool you. It's Gosuobs.
He hasn't had that great of results, and Huck's been on fire. That was pretty much just what I meant to say.
You're such an ignorant American. I don't even want to...
Huck just needs to prepare
So-
for that match, like, the most solid stuff he can come up with. Hasuobs is, like, so clever.
I'm just still bewildered by Chef's ignorance.
Sheth, I'm sorry for this, man. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
Let's move on. Oh, actually, catch NASL 11:45 a.m. local time. I believe that's Pacific on Friday. Tune into that. If it's what Tyler or Artosis, what is this demon you put in front of us, man?
It's my dog, man.
Why don't you put the real dog on that has the stupid
She's in the other
sweater
room, man.
that you put on it 5 minutes ago? Why don't you tell us how you're actually torturing your dog by putting a sweater on her, man?
It's cold. What? Do you wear a shirt when it's cold, JP?
JP,
No, man.
You give him crap, but he's actually going to get 6 PMs from people that have owned dogs for 20 years. And they're going to be like, I just want you to know, I unfollowed you on Twitter because you put a sweater on your dog.
You fucked up, Artosis. You fucked up.
Guess so.
Anyways, watch
Take the sweater
NASL this
off,
weekend.
I'll start following you on Twitter again.
Yeah, I mean, basically, support NASL if you want to support by just watching. That's all you got to do. And if you don't, then don't watch. I mean, it's as simple as that. Don't
I'll
go
be
making a
watching.
post on Reddit about how so-and-so needs to stop doing this because they're killing esports. I mean, that's stupid. But anyways, I should not go on with that. Jeff, I am going to actually put you in the hot seat. We have a lot of drama on this episode for some reason today.
State of the game.
Yeah, I guess, well, it's state of the drama. We haven't even talked about the game, I don't think, once this entire episode. So there was an article by, well, it was just TL staff at large, but I believe the section was from Confused Crib, a TL staff writer, and he was stating that the EG house is not working at this point in time. And to read it...
Oh, is this guy, like, does he work at the EG house?
What?
No.
No, this is a TL writer.
Is he a strategical expert,
Okay,
renowned
Dan.
worldwide?
Dan.
Okay,
Dan.
I can
I'm
see
just
where you're
asking.
going with this. He has watched streams. He has checked TLPD, and he's written other articles as well. Okay, so he's about as much of an expert as you can get to be. All right, so take your attitude.
Kidding aside. All right, I'll just read a little bit of it verbatim. So he says, I'll be honest, guys, I'm really tired of getting flamed, or I'm afraid of getting flamed for this, but it's something that's concerned me for long enough that I'm just going to say it. EG did badly, and I can't help but feel that the team house is not paying for itself. You can go and read the rest of
No,
this.
EG's paying for it, honestly.
On MLG Providence finale article. It's about halfway down. But Jeff,
Yep.
I mean, what are your thoughts on what Confused Crib has to say about the EG house?
Well, let me tear
I think
this.
he might be confused.
Let me go through.
That was a worse joke than what Jeff did earlier, man. Kill yourself.
My hands joke is amazing because that's like a Swedish name and shit. Like that was.
No, I know. That's why I was like laughing really.
That's Larry David shit right there. The reason this article at face
And I'll link it
value
in chat for
is
you
so
guys, so.
problematic is that it's out of place first and foremost. The thread is MLG Providence finale, and it's a recap of the tournament.
Yeah.
The guy goes 2 sentences into his little his discussion on EG, and he's like, the house isn't paying for itself. Never mind MLG Providence specifically or the tournament as a whole. It's just he starts to go into this huge criticism of the house. So just like if you want to be critical of the house and what you think is a productive investment in the house, that's fine. Make a separate article that's not attached to MLG Providence and go into those criticisms. Actually investigate, talk about actual results as opposed to here's one tournament where a bunch of guys hit pretty good players that I've never heard of, I guess, and they didn't do as well. So I'm going to now call into criticism their house they've been in for 3 months. So that's my first problem. It's out of place. My next problem is it's just fucking wrong. Like, let's put this attitude out there for people first and foremost. If a team gets a training house, if they get a professional house, results are obviously towards the top of the reason why they get that house, but they're also taking a stance. They're creating like a place where content will be produced, where people will, like can rally to there and actually see the team that they love and support, and those guys can work with each other to bolster each other in every way, shape, and form. And first and foremost is results. If we want to speak just strictly on results, then we can. I think the house has been majorly productive for everybody involved. We've got Axelav and StrifeCro qualifying for IEM New York. These are huge international tournaments. They do quite well there. They've qualified for other tournaments as well, but I'm not going to go down each player and talk about all their accomplishments. Machine's obviously playing better. A lot of people, one of the biggest names they go to, hang on, is me. They're like, you're not getting any better. You're not doing much better. I'm sorry, just 1 second. Let me finish this point. And they can have that acclaim if they want. My personal opinion is that actually I am playing better. I'm doing very poorly in tournaments. My results are not better. I understand that. But that's something else I'm working with outside the house. Artos, what were you going to say?
I don't think you need to even defend the players, even one iota of anything, because the guy making the statement obviously has no clue about esports the way it works, because, I mean, if you look into the Korean pro scene, right, that's where houses came from that pro gamers practice together in. And in the Korean pro scene, you get a house, and when players start joining the house, they give them at least 1 year to show any results, because it is a long-term investment. So to say that after 3 months the team isn't winning everything, I guarantee you a year from now, if no other pro teams have done this, anyone who either A, hasn't gone to Korea, or B, hasn't lived in a pro house practicing, I guarantee you the EG guys will crush them. All right? It's like, even if they were all a bunch of talentless hacks, which they aren't, just living in a house together, having the same mentality, talking about it, and practicing for a long period of time, not 3 months. 3 months is like the most arbitrary, ludicrous point. It's so stupid, it actually hurts my brain.
And that's a really good point. And that would be the point I'd wrap up with. And Artos is saving us all from me rambling on, so I'll take his lead on this. But I want to embolden that point because it's really important. And I think part of the reason EG catches more flack for this is because they're one of the first major organizations to do this. Team Liquid went, in North America. Team Liquid went to Korea with OGS, and that's a model that people can wrap their heads around. So they're not as critical about that because they understand that it takes more time with that model. But for a North American house where we're producing videos, I'm tweeting about weightlifting and all this stuff we're doing in the house outside of StarCraft as well. People have a more personal relationship with this. Like Jinro's not tweeting, "Hey, today I made spaghetti because I felt like it. Fuck you all," which is like that's actually how Jinro would tweet because he loves the word "fuck." But people aren't getting that connection.
He
with
does
him.
love that word.
They just see StarCraft and they just hear him talk about StarCraft. So maybe it's that's how he wants to go about it. I personally, I'm living my life. It just so happens that a lot of people hear my opinion and see how I live my life. So it just kind of stung a little bit when a writer took a jab at something that, as Dan pointed out, it's factually not true, but also it's like, holy shit, man, it's been 3 months. Let's calm down a little bit. The nice thing, though, to wrap this up, and I guess this is much of a rant because Dan said it better than I could, is that Team Liquid reached out to me. Their editor,
Yeah.
Hey, okay, and then a few of their admins, they all reached out and said, hey, we should have put this through a little bit more scrutiny. We're sorry about that. And, it was just a really nice apology. They ended up reaching out and making sure that it was made known that way. And okay.
You need to put a sweater on that dog. Yeah.
It's cold, man. That's why it's parked.
And that's all I want to say about it. Because honestly, like, one of the biggest problems I would ever have is any organization looking at a team taking this serious of an investment and saying, you fucked up. That's wrong. You shouldn't have done that. That's bad. Like, I want a Team Vile. I want a VVV house. I want a complexity house. It'll be a shanty house. It'll have a cardboard box for a roof. But still, I want a complexity house. I want Team Liquid to say, fuck it. We want Sheth and Tyler living together, and we're going to make a reality show out of it. It's going to be called the Tyler and Sheth Show. And then they do it. I want to see that stuff. And hopefully it's good.
I would love that show, but it would be boring, man. They would just they'd both be sitting there being nice and smart, and like that would basically be it, man.
Can you imagine that the Tyler and Chef drama would be like, "Hey, Chef, you didn't fully put the cap on your toothpaste." And Chef would be like, "I'm really sorry, man. That's
Yeah.
I'm really sorry."
Well, the real drama would happen when they're playing and like Sheth loses a game and Tyler's like, "Oh, he won because of those force fields there," and Sheth is like, "Oh yeah, thanks."
Well, we will eagerly await that show. We'll talk to Kennegat. If you actually want that show, go to twitter.com/Kennegat and let them know that you want to see it. Let them know. Send them follow them as well if you're going that way. So it's shifting gears a little bit. Artosis, did you happen to catch 4GG the other night against Polt?
Oh, I haven't gotten to that match yet. I've watched.
Well, did you watch the Sage match?
No, I've been catching up on last week's Code S and the Code A from last night. I watched a big chunk of, but not all of them yet.
Well, I know, Jeff, you watched the matches, at least 4GG and Polt. I mean, the Elephant in the Room article is kind of something that started a long time ago. If you don't know what I'm referring to, it's another TL article. I believe it's in the SD2 General forum. I'll link in the chat here in a second. But it's an article that was basically saying that when Brood Wars players switch over, it's basically all over for everyone else. And 4GG right now is looking pretty good in Code A. I mean, he took out Sage, someone that Artosis hyped up to exponential levels, and he got 2-0'd. And then he went on to play Polt, the winner of the Super Tournament. It was a tournament so good that GSL actually called it the Super Tournament, and he 2-0'd him. So, I mean, is this article now kind of becoming real life?
It was so
Jeff?
good that they gave it a name that was so bad.
Yeah.
Thanks, JP.
One of the parts. Okay, first of all, the 4GG thing bothers me so much.
Why's that?
Because people are like, he's been training for 4 months, and then all of a sudden he's taking out former Super Tournament winner. No, he has not been training for 4 months. He's been training for like 8 months.
Yeah.
And he's got like 4 accounts in the top 20 of the Korean ladder. He's been playing a shit ton of StarCraft 2. 4GG is also a previous WCG winner, and did he win an MSL or OSL?
He won an MSL.
He won an MSL.
Yeah, it was MSL.
He's one of the top talents from Brood War of old. He's an amazing RTS player who's been playing a shit ton of StarCraft 2, and he just now is having an impressive result where he defeats Polt in a TBT. So, like,
and
let's not take it away from him, but let's not call him the next. Like, it's getting out of hand. As far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's a former champion, and I'm not like surprised he beat Polt. Polt needs some reworking. He's a micro-based player, and he has been. But I mean, I think that's going to change how they join TSL, because TSL is going to be like a macro-based team. You see the players coming out of there, a lot of top macro guys, and it's a Brood War coach. So we should see him fix his style some. But I mean, Polt's style to begin with was kind of weak. Overall, he was just really, really, really good at it. So I'm not surprised to see that happen. And I mean, of course, when more Brood War pros come, they'll do well. In fact, I've been playing some on the ladder and stuff, and oh my god, they're getting really good, man. They're getting scary.
Here's a question for you, Dan, and this is kind of what I've thought. Like, if you take someone who's really good at RTS, like you had all the top Warcraft 3 players, you had the players from Brood War, and obviously now you're just having some of these players from Brood War who just are really good at RTS in general, and you have those top people. Do you think, like, no matter what game, doesn't need to be StarCraft 2, but pretty much no matter what game they went to, they'd be in the top if it was RTS?
Of course, it's like actually silly. The other RTS games just don't have the broad base of talent and just the skills you need to play StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is the second hardest mechanical RTS game with any competition in it. And so, I mean, it doesn't matter what game that they go to. We could, I mean, if we make Warcraft 4, right, I mean, Grubby's going to be awesome, Moon's going to be awesome, all these guys. Well, actually, they're doing really well in StarCraft 2 as well. But, I mean, you can't tell me that MVP and Nestea can't be great at that game, too. It's just, it's just the way it is, man. I mean, if you're good at RTS games, you're good at RTS games.
That's what I've always thought this whole argument lacked. Like, I mean, if you're one of the best in another game and you go to a new game, you're going to do very well there too. Like, it should be obvious to people that that the elephant in the room is actually kind of obvious. I don't know. That's how I always
Apollo,
thought of it.
he was a world-class Command and Conquer player, and now
He's a really good commentator.
Now, how good is...
One thing I would say about the article, though, is a lot of it, from what I recall, I hadn't reread it, but a lot of it was just saying how watching StarCraft 2 is not, like if you watched StarCraft 2 at the time of the article being written, the games were just disappointing. Like, you didn't see any of the depth, any of the, like, refinement that you could see with StarCraft 1. And so whether or not 4GG or Fenn, if that's what he goes by now or whatever, is actually like the best StarCraft 2 player right now doesn't really matter. I think it's just that some of these hardcore StarCraft 1 fans watched those games and saw a way of playing the game that they love, that they hadn't really seen in StarCraft 2 yet. And well, they've probably seen it here and there, but I think, you know, they're especially looking at 4GG because he's a former champion. And so they just saw the game played in a way that they really like. And that's a little bit different than the other issue of, is every StarCraft 1 player going to be better than every current StarCraft 2 player?
You know how StarCraft 1 players got good? It was practicing in team houses for years. So, I mean, we have StarCraft 2 guys that are doing that now. So eventually they'll be good too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're all becoming StarCraft 2 players, you know, and the StarCraft 1 guys will as well. It's just a lot of them already have years and years and years of intense experience balancing economies and making intelligent moves and macroing like gods. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a switch over of pros and whatnot. But, I mean, the elephant in the room article, I think we went over this when it first came out.
Yeah,
how
we
retarded
did.
It was.
We did.
It's like the worst written, most trash article.
I think it was Greg that actually had that.
It was,
You and Greg shared
it was
that.
bad, man.
Yeah,
I think we did. It was something to the effect of, this is retarded, because they like just picked out the players. They're like, well, OGSMC, he was Iron from Iron GM, and, you know, he never even made into OSL and MSL. But actually, at the end of his Brood War career, he was one game from both. And, like, he was coming up, and that's where the way a lot of these players are. So it's just, it was a retarded article. I just hated that article so much I couldn't talking about it again.
The last question I have on this topic is, I mean, I'm going to mess up his name, but is it Hyun? Is that how you pronounce it?
Hyun, dude.
Yeah,
Hyun.
so, I mean, what should people be hyped about him joining TSL?
Man. I'm really excited about that, actually. Hyun was, I mean, he wasn't the best, but he was a good Zerg. He was a Zerg that we saw in Pro League a lot. He made it into Star Leagues every now and then. And he's joined the right team because that's actually his old coach that runs TSL. So it's a great thing.
Hey,
and he was let me think about this for a second. I want to say that as far as Zerg players transferring over, he was the best Zerg player that's transferred over so far. Am I wrong? Am I forgetting someone?
I think July Zerg.
Oh, July Zerg. Okay. I forget about him. But I hear that he's not really practicing much anymore. He just all-ins all the time. Oh, wait, that's how he always practiced. I don't know. But aside from him, I mean, he's one of these guys he was actually better than all these other Zergs that transferred over. So, I mean, we should be seeing some greatness out of him.
Yeah.
I don't know, Joshi was pretty good at Brood War, wasn't he? I I heard you were
Jeff.
catching some flack for that, so I just totally pulled a troll face thing.
Jakchi? Wait, what flack?
Someone somewhere said that he even called you guys out on being too critical on him.
On Jakchi?
Yeah.
Wait, I've been saying for a while I like Jakchi. I'm confused.
Now I don't know. I don't know what's up.
Yeah, I heard.
No, I've
I heard
actually
that.
been saying like.
I heard
like
what Jeff's
Jakchi.
talking about as well, like in an
Yes,
interview or something. He
Yeah.
mentioned you by name, but I don't know the reference to it.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Jakchi mentioned me?
Yeah, someone in the chat could probably link us in a couple seconds.
What?
But let's talk about the
Jakchi
GSL
knew my name? I'm like,
semifinals. We'll get this in a couple of seconds. Artosis, calm down.
This is hilarious.
We've got
Someone-
the two semifinals that happened. Jakchi versus Oz. Wasn't that great of a series, at least in comparison to the MVP Leenock series. But Jeff, did you watch MVP Leenock?
I did not watch that one. I watched the other series.
Oh well, I guess we'll just start with the other series. Then, what were your thoughts on Jakchi Oz? As I will try to find what
Yeah.
Artosis was being yelled at
Well,
for.
apparently I'm too critical on Jakchi, but I'd love to re-say what I said on GSO, which was only nice things about him. I like.
Apparently,
what
he said that
does.
you're a biased commentator, is what the chat's saying.
How the, what the fuck?
I
Does
don't
he
know.
speak English? Like, how is he getting this? This is stupid.
Juani's fucking
Anyway.
you over, man. He's seating it down.
I don't know, man. I'm like look around. Where is he? All right. I
He's
have
on the
no idea.
talking to you right now.
That's like-
yeah, he's
that's-
talking about you again. I know.
Anyways, as I said before, Jakchi, you know what I really liked about that is he did really good builds. He wasn't really taking a ton of risks in his best of 5 against Oz. He was playing like solid, good games, and it was kind of refreshing to see because a lot of times when we get up high, like, I mean, it takes a lot of balls to do it. And here's what I like. If you look at like Puma in the DreamHack finals, Puma is an established name. Okay, he needs to do anything it takes to win, and I mean, he will win some tournaments, and he will lose some tournaments, and he'll get to the finals a lot. And he'll take risks, like going for SCV Marine All-In, and that's like, that takes balls, man. He's just like, nah, I think this is going to win here. I'm going to do it because I got to grind out being one of the best. Whereas Jakchi, I mean, this is his shot to really, I mean, if you make it to a finals, man, suddenly you're right up there. And when it mattered, he was doing solid, steady builds and trying to like macro his way through and make good decisions and overall outplay his opponent. So I like really appreciated watching that from him. But apparently I'm biased against Jakchi. I don't know.
Yeah, you're messing up.
You're just trying to save face right now, Dan. You can cut the act. What do
I
you
like
really
said
want to
this-
say about him?
I said this last night or the night before whenever I cast it. I don't know. Some jet lag.
You're
What
being,
days?
I think you're being passive aggressive though. I think that's what I'm picking up on.
Oh, okay.
Did
You
anyone
got me,
else
Jeff.
watch the semifinals besides Jeff? Tyler, did
Well,
you
you
watch
asked
it?
me about
I
it,
saw
but then
it.
Dan had to.
Okay.
I
Well,
got
no, no,
something
I'm
to
just
say.
asking,
I
Jeff.
got-
Jeff, go ahead. Talk to me about Jakchi Oz.
Dan's way too nervous about Jakchi. This guy's some like black belt in Korea or something. But
Yes,
anyways.
man. Did you see that guy? He's ripped.
Oz plays an interesting style. Like I think a lot of people are pretty quick to be critical of a player like Oz, but in my opinion, Oz encompasses a lot of what I've been saying about Protoss for a while, where they have to take. I feel like Protoss players think they have to take pretty big risks in a series to win the series overall. So that's why we're seeing some pretty hardcore metagaming, like the center gate on Tal'Dar Malter. He was very much so predicting command center first, and he was correct, and it looked brilliant. I don't know if it was that series or the one against MMA, but he did proxy gates inside the base of the Terran player. Like he obviously shows he's capable of doing anything, the full spectrum. But the games that ring out the truest to me is I love Oz's macro play. I think he's got one of the some of the most gorgeous like 2-base army compositions I've ever seen. Plays very aggressive and then falls back on third and fourth, but is always behind aggression. And I really like his play. But I think Jakchi was just the much more solid player.
Yeah.
He repelled a lot of that aggression from Oz, and then clearly was the favorite to win. I mean, in gameplay at that day, looking at the two players, Jakchi was the better player, but I think Oz made it interesting because he's just all over the board with the strategies.
Yeah. Tyler, which match of which of the two series did you watch? Was it Jakchi Oz or did you watch both?
I watched Jakchi Oz. I was still going to watch the other one, just haven't gotten to it yet.
All right. Well, what were your quick thoughts? If Jeff didn't steal them all, then I'll get Artosis on the MVP.
I mean, I actually feel differently. I mean, I always like to see solid play. And I mean, I understand mixing up a little bit, but I think Oz is a little extreme with that. I felt like the games that did turn into macro games, I agree with Jeff. He has a nice macro game, and I feel like he doesn't really have an opening that is just safe and isn't trying to get him an advantage. Like, he feels compelled to get an early game advantage when from what I saw, I felt like he could just do a safe build that gets him into mid-game and then play mid-game safe to get into late game and just play a straight up style. But he didn't really do that in general, and so I'm not sure why, if maybe he was losing a lot when he was doing that. But I felt like he might have won that series actually with conservative play, and he didn't win the series because he didn't go in with that mindset. I don't know.
I felt he took too many risks in that one. I think he's better
Yeah.
straight up than he was giving himself credit for. But he's a player that gets nervous a lot, so I think that had a lot to do with it too. He was probably making up for his nerves by doing easy to execute cheese builds a lot more. That's what I felt while I was watching.
Well, I'd want to know what he's thinking. I mean, hopefully,
Yeah.
State of the Game 2012
Yeah,
would be like,
his standard play is some of the best I've seen, to be honest. I like his
It is,
standard play right up at the top as far as people.
Oz's? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's also really, really nice. I lived with him and practiced with him for like 3 weeks. He's
He's a
really, really
sweet guy,
nice. Yeah, Huxu.
Artosis, hopefully your mic fixes for this, but I mean, what is going on with Lenok, man? How is he taking out all these players?
You know, it's actually that match was funny because after game one and then especially game two, I'm like, there is no way Lenok's going to take this in between the breaks, and it's just like, I felt like MVP was way outplaying Lenok. Like, way outplaying him. Lenok was getting some tricky little wins and stuff and doing it, and MVP was making little mistakes that Lenok was capitalizing on. But then game 5 happened, where Lenok played like 1,000 times better than MVP. That game was like, oh my god, he played well. I don't know, man. It was Lenok's good. It's the end of this. Alright, there you go.
All right, Artosis, it's time for your trademark pick. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Jakshi or is it going to be Lenok?
Oh, it's Lenok. Yeah,
No question?
I think it's still coming up, man. I guess this makes me biased. I don't know.
Yeah, you're such a biased caster, man.
I
He is
think
really
Joki's
biased.
still coming up.
True colors.
He's like a Lenok, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
But he's still coming up. He has a little ways to go. I think his best matchup is TVP, and that's how he got here. In fact, you can see that's kind of how he got to the bracket, and that's, you know, being honest, so it makes perfect sense. But I feel like Lenok has more stage experience by far now, and I feel like he'll take this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jakshi stays up as a top pair in the future.
Yeah. Sheth, you said that you... Did you watch the match? You seem uncertain.
I'm
in
not
the
sure.
chat.
I might have.
It's a lot of matches, man.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with it all for sure.
When Dan was saying like that MVP played really well the first 2 games and then started to switch, I kind of remember that happening, but my memory is late for me, so I'm
Game
tired.
2 on dual site, like
That was, yeah, I saw
well,
that.
it's painful because Lenok...
The roaches and Banes?
When he walked like 7 infestors into like a group of Marines that killed all of them when they had full energy, I was like, ah! That was painful. It was a good series. It's definitely one people should watch. The Oz Jakshi one wasn't as good though.
Yeah, it
was
wasn't.
just kind of build order win, build order win, build
Uh,
order win.
Let's go down the line real quick. Tyler, who wins? Lenok or Jakshi on Friday?
Lenok.
Sheth?
Jakchi.
Jeff? You going to make it 2-2?
Lenok.
Nope.
Yeah.
3-1. I think Lenok will take it. Hopefully it won't be a complete GSL final. Hopefully it'll be competitive. But
That'd be awesome.
what if it was competitive? I guess.
I think Dan died.
Yeah, Dan died. He's just like, well, I'm going to make JP look really awkward on camera now. So let's go to a quick.
What is your
Quick,
ask?
pull out your dog in a sweater.
Yeah, we need that.
Tease everyone.
He's looking for him. He's going to try to find him. While he's doing that, guys, we're going to cut to a quick commercial. Then we've got questions, twitter.com/hitmejp, and we still have to talk about Slasher being Slasher, which I'm going to let Jeff handle. when we come back, guys. So we'll be right back after this quick break. Alright, guys, welcome back. Mike is not muted this time, thank the Lord. Jeff, talk to me about Slasher and his trollful ways, I guess.
So wait, can you guys set it up? Because I want to talk second if Jeff's going to go first.
Okay.
Alright.
Let's say.
About that subject?
Sure, yeah. Every subject, anything, man. I could talk about anything right now. I'm just in the mood to talk.
That's the state of the game spirit.
An hour ago, Artosis was actually a zombie. True story.
I was.
He was dead. He was dead. Alright, Jeff.
So,
let's go.
Okay. Slasher.
The last drama of the day.
Very much so. Very, he's got a show. It's named Darn It Slasher, and he lives up to the name of the show. So he makes a comment during DreamHack saying on Twitter, of course, because that's one of the places he likes to stir crap the most. And Slasher, I know you're listening right now. Rod, peace, love you, but
we love you, Rod. But seriously, fuck you.
He tweeted, he said that players should never cast until they've retired.
What was his backup to that?
Okay, this is where it gets good, Dan. His argument, because obviously what ensued was everyone saying you're wrong, you're dumb, fuck you, go away, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I even got a hate thread on Reddit. He was surprised with this, but really he's just like, I got a hate thread on Reddit. And so his argument was that if they split their time between casting and commentating, they are shitty players and shitty commentators. And then people were like, they're not talking about splitting their time. Sheth and TLO commentating at DreamHack is a nice emergency backup for Tasteless getting sick, but also it's a good way to get these players who know a lot about the game to share their personality and their insight while commentating. And Slasher just went no, if we need to step up esports, you don't do that. And then the worst part for me is that he goes, MLG does it correctly. You never see them hiring players. They only hire commentators. And I think that's the right way to go.
I'll add a small thing there. Just that was completely wrong because at the last MLG, they said that they were kind of they offered that I could have casted on one of the black screens or black, whatever it's called. So even then at MLG they allow players to cast too if you're adamant and wanted to, I believe. Could be wrong there.
Yeah,
but
they probably would because it's a good idea to do. I mean, this is just kind of. I mean, this is. I don't know how much discussion we can even have because it's kind of stupid.
Right? Yeah.
It's just
TLO basically had an eye infection, and TLO actually said to me just privately, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's kind of nice that I've been eliminated from the tournament early, but I can still do something for the community by coming in here and helping you out by casting." And I mean, it was a kick-ass time, man. Like, TLO was great, and it was awesome to have a pro gamer in there talking, you know. And I think that everyone really enjoyed myself at TLO Cast. I know that Sheth and you TLO casted it, didn't you?
Yeah, we casted once, but I will say definitely like TLO is amazing at it. Like
He's really
as far
good,
as
man.
the pro players go, yeah.
And there's no reason why he can't fill in every now and then. That's like actually silly. And where would we be without pain users showing up to every event, man? As a player, where would we be?
Well, I mean, the part that I have a problem with, like, I would actually side with him if his argument was, like, in the case of myself or myself during NESL or pain user during IPL, that maybe there's player bias, or Artosis during GSL, they're, you know, if they're spending more time doing one versus the other, just mediocrizes their overall performance. Oh, okay. I could think that that's not
Playing
a
helps your casting.
Yeah. Okay, but he was making the argument from a player's perspective, not a caster's perspective.
Okay.
So, even Slasher's not stupid enough to talk down like Day 9's return to playing StarCraft. That would be ridiculous. He would actually get shot. It would be like a crying fan in the street. He'd be like, "You should play." Slash like, I would be on board with that to a certain extent, but the problem I have is like with the cameo appearance of Sheth or TLO, or like just that concept, which is a really weird, like Dan said, subject to pick to get really mad at. But he did. He's like, they shouldn't be there. They don't belong there. It should be other broadcasters because they don't know how to host or throw around. And I think that's kind of a...
Actually, me and TLO threw around better than most professional commentators do, to be perfectly frank. All right? That's
TLO's
actually true.
really
TLO
good.
threw around really, really well.
Yeah.
I had a completely pleasurable time casting with him. A lot of times when you bring on a pro player, it's hard because, yeah, they don't throw around well. They're just like, you know,
It's not
sitting
like
there.
you're gonna invite Naniwal up and cast. Like, just
I think Nanawa and I...
That could be hilarious.
I hang out with Nanawa, man, and I actually have a great time with him when we go
I want
out.
to see a Naniwa Night End
I think that-
co-commentating.
Naniwa on TL Attack was hilarious. Naniwa with
Yeah,
Thorzane,
he
also
was
hilarious.
fun when he was on State of the Game, but
I would love to do one with Nanawa. Seriously. That would be a fun cast. That would be. A lot of anger coming out of that one.
You could make some money off of Naniwa casting
Have
some
them
things.
throw to Idra. Idra's like the sideline
yeah, he's
reporter.
the sideline report.
Greg, talk about Cruncher's last matchup. He's fucking stupid. Get back to Greg, but anyway,
It would be like the weatherman from Family Guy, but it'll just be like
So,
negative comments.
Well,
And you know what else? Another thing? Let's say for a moment that a player is thinking about becoming a caster. Maybe they want to transition out because we need more players getting into the actual industry side as they retire. That's actually true. You know, the more that we have players working, the more fair and well-run everything will be. Because a lot of people, especially a year ago and less so now, a lot of the people involved weren't pros. And it just makes things worse when they are because they don't actually understand things, a lot of people. So, you know, maybe this is like something that, for instance, TLO. No, he's a pro player. I'm sure he's going to stay a pro player. But what if he is trying it out and he's like, oh, you know what? Maybe a caster is the right role for me. Because, I mean, he loves the game and everything, but maybe he decides he doesn't want to be a player anymore. So I think we can all agree that Slasher's completely wrong.
yeah, it's too bad. I would like to hear Slasher's side of things too.
Well, Slasher's side of things, I think, stems from the fact that MLG will probably never have a player casting StarCraft 2. They do cast Halo and Call of Duty, but it's just something that...
Well, we have so many casters in this community, right? So
Yeah, I mean, that's
like,
very true. I think that's...
you don't really have to go there, you know?
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
enough players. By the way, I
Chris-
just...
Well, one last thing. Chris tweeted Slasher actually a really good point. If this concept were true, if Slasher were to win out on this point, we wouldn't have Tasteless. Tasteless was a player.
Oh, you actually killed your dog? She's shot, man.
That's actually so true. Tasteless started commentating while he was still a pro player, and so did I. I actually, you know, I was practicing every day, like 14 hours with Jeff, in fact, and fucking, I got the plane ticket to Korea, and here I am, guys. So
We were
That's
sad
for
about
sure.
that day, man.
yeah, I was happy to get to Korea. Well, we could talk for days.
Yeah,
and
we're
days
not
about
having a breed
that
war
happened.
chat. Sean's not
But-
here.
Aw, why not?
Sean's not here.
I just want to point out the thing about Jakchi, the bias thing. Me and Tasteless
You're
during
so
every
worried
interview. No, because you licked me to this, right? And this is what happens during the interviews where a Korean in the production room is telling us what they're saying.
Sorry.
And we add our own trolling things in there. Like I have said before, like, oh, he says Tasis is the handsomest caster in the GSL. And so Tasis is like, and he says Artosis is biased. I don't know why he would say that. I can't believe that anyone actually thought this was true. Oh my god. I was actually stressed, man. Like, why would he think that? I'm so nice to him.
And by making that point, you've now flipped it around on how Stay of the Game doesn't do their research, and now we're all just fucking, we don't care, we've lost our
No,
power.
no.
Us, not us.
The other way. We found
it's
the
my
truth
fault.
behind it.
Yeah.
We figured it out. We got to the
Sheth,
bottom of it.
Yeah, man.
That's turning
Yeah,
a
the
frown
bottom
right on
of it.
upside down, my friend.
That's
and
what
I
Sheth
appreciate
does,
your
man.
work. Yep.
That's what Sheth does. All right, let's do some questions, guys. Twitter.com/itmejp. And I gotta say, the new Twitter makes this very hard because it auto refreshes the questions.
Makes it really
Open it up in like
What?
Netscape or something, man.
Netscape? You want me to use that?
Good time.
You would say Netscape. Oh, here we go. From Reed Jr. How much time do you get as caster/players to experience the local culture while you're traveling? Are you able to at all? I have never been outside of the venue/hotel area while traveling anywhere to any event ever. But I also don't spend any time outside of the event in the sense that I fly in to do the event and then I fly out the Monday afterwards. So I know, Artosis, you've actually stayed longer in some events.
Like, for instance, before BlizzCon, I went in a bit early, saw some family, and at the Filipino event that we just did, I flew in a few days early. We all took a little vacation down there. I don't always get to do it, and in fact, like at NLGs, oftentimes I don't get any extra time.
Yeah.
Of course, I flew right to DreamHack and then had to come immediately that night that we ended. We like went and packed and had like a beer and went on the plane to get back here to do GSL round 4. So I don't always get to do it. Sometimes though, but a lot of the time also at these events, I'm so tired that I don't get to go out much. And also, I mean, during the free time, I like to hang out with my friends when I can. You know, like if I can see like these guys here, see this like nice little crew, these are 3 of my bestest buddies right now. 4, I guess I don't see JP unless
Oh, no.
question
Fuck JP.
mark. No, man, you don't actually get that much time to actually do it. It just happens what your schedule is. For me, it's like unbelievably jam-packed. So not too much, but sometimes.
Yeah, what about player-wise? I mean, do you guys spend a lot of time outside of the event? Whoever
No,
wants to
I mean-
speak to this.
The thing is, like, when you're there for an event, everything about you is about the tournament, right? So by the time you get eliminated, that's when you can start to look towards, let's go do something else. And a lot of times that's on the Sunday before you leave, so not a lot of players get to do that. But the nice thing about events is that, like when we had MLG DC, some of the EG guys spent an extra day going to the museums and kind of seeing the city. I know that Huck's, I think, gone to fun parks or whatever, like in Florida or something like that. So players have the opportunity to get traveled to that event, go see family, and then, you know, kind of experience the town that way. But as far as, like, around the event itself, no, not any chance in hell.
Yeah. Sheth or Tyler, do you have anything to add?
Well, while I was in Sweden, like, we got there a few days early, so that was nice. That was one of the first events we've kind of gotten to see the city a little bit. Just kind of got to, you know, find out a little bit about the culture, and the weather was freezing cold. But generally you don't, and then even if you get knocked out early, then you're usually like, you kind of want to like see the fans, and you want to root on your teammates. So even then, you really don't want to like, I'm gonna go shopping now, or I'm gonna go visit a theme park at that moment. You want to watch the end of the tournament, and you know that's when you meet people, and I get to hang out with, you know, you guys and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, for me it's just not too much, but every once in a while I get lucky.
Tyler?
Yeah, it's hard to get out, but I have seen people make efforts, like Jeff said, to stay an extra day. I've done that a couple times now, like in both for Anaheim and was it Orlando. I stayed and went to Disneyland and Disney World, so that was fun with Lindsay.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, once you're eliminated, kind of you just do whatever you want. A lot of times you don't feel like doing anything once you're eliminated, so it's not really helpful. But mainly what I look forward to the most is just seeing my friends. Because it's a meetup for the most part. So I'm there for the people, there for the event, and not for the town.
Dan, are you still lagging, by the way? Can you talk real quick? 'Cause this question...
Am I lagging?
Not. God. All right, I'll
I'm
save
good?
it for when you start doing it.
What?
You're fine.
I have to
Don't
save
worry
this
about it.
question,
You're
man.
fine.
It's actually funny. But anyways, Sfians, I guess is how you pronounce this. He says, do you think bigger tournaments need more casters to cut down on the time group stage
Yes.
in particular? That is a definitive yes from two
That is
casters.
unbelievably yes, and I think all the events actually know that, and next year we should see more reasonable hours for casters.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about that, because it's too much. It's too much right now.
Yeah, I think that's the easy one to answer. From Cryptide, what Brood War Pro would each of you be rooting for to do well in StarCraft 2 if they all switched over?
If they
Artosis,
all switched
if they
over.
all if every single Brood War Pro switched over tomorrow, who would you be rooting for the most, Artosis?
That's hard, man, because all the ones that I really liked would just do well no matter what, because they were so good. But if I could anti-root for one, it would be Leda.
Why? Why is that? Is there something?
Because once upon a time, he proxied 2 barracks, and Flash went command center first, and he killed him with Marines, and Leda had the biggest smile I've ever seen anyone have on their face and did a fist pump as if he had done something that was talentful. I was so
Damn.
angry.
That's such
Your
a
hatred
At that
runs
moment-
so deep.
yeah. That's such
I
a
was so
minute
angry.
thing. It's funny.
It's like 3 years ago, man.
Tyler,
But
who
I would love to see
Oh.
them all do well, JP. I want to see the Brood War pros come in and kick ass and really test who's got the dedication like they do.
Tyler, who would your pick be? Should we come back to you?
No, I'm just gonna go ahead and say J-Dong because he's just the coolest pro gamer ever.
He's
Like, I
pretty
just-
cool, man.
Yeah, I just like him too much. He's my favorite.
Flash is cool in the
Favorite
ultimate
gamer ever.
nerd way, though.
Sheth?
Well, for me, it's actually kind of funny. I used to really love watching Revival SCM play, and he's playing now too with SC2. He's Revival, but he's not doing that great. So I really just Boxer and him, I guess. I always love a Sing Boxer duo.
What?
You know, I would give
Boxer?
anything.
Pick Boxer because he's already made the transition.
Oh, well, you said everyone. It could be everyone, right?
Yeah, if everyone who hasn't been already switched to StarCraft 2.
Wow, then I sucked at that one.
You should have picked yourself if that were the case.
Say,
Jeff, you're trolling him too much. Who would your pick be?
Welcome to State of the Game, Sheth!
Oh, God. Jeff, who would your pick be?
Savior, hands down. Not rigging matches, playing to his full potential.
He actually he has
was
such a
dominant.
style similar to Nesty, man.
I actually really agree
So
with that.
similar. Yeah. And you know what's really, really, really funny? They both had long careers as 2 versus 2 players in StarCraft 1 where you learn the basics extra well.
Let me do this.
Mm.
Okay, Sheth. Dan, everyone's impressed with your reference to StarCraft 2.
Jeff, what are you
Thank you.
doing?
Hang on. There's an article on Team Liquid. Okay, we did a lot of shitting on Team Liquid articles. There's actually one of the best articles you can ever read. And
God of the
at this
Battlefield?
moment, yes, God of the Battlefield. It's about Savior. So everyone
Sick.
on State of the Game should
Sounds like
crash
it's sick.
Team Liquid right now. Read
Just
that.
give me the link
thread.
if you can. Or do you not have it?
It's a long read. It's amazing, though.
Here, I'll Google
I'm
for
sure I read it.
But it is absolutely, it's talking about Savior in his prime and the stuff that he did. And it's written by
Got it.
Bear, actually, who is a fantastic Terran player. For Team
Oh,
Liquid.
the Swedish guy?
Nope, he's American.
No.
Oh,
He
okay,
doesn't
never
wear
mind.
shoes when he plays.
He doesn't wear shoes? That must get you fucking grossed out, Jeff. Does he at least have socks on?
I want to kill him, right in the head. But that article is excellently written, and it's about Savior, and it talks a little bit about Brood War history, which a lot of us.
Wait, did we crash it? Did we actually crash it?
Yeah, JP, when I say crash Team Liquid,
No, man, it's
Crash
it's
Team
Team Liquid. That's actually a bigger backbone than Handsome. By the way, handsomnerd.com, thehandsomenerd.com.
Hey,
Go to
hey,
it.
hey.
Buy their shirts.
Hey.
Support our
Right
Justice
this
Go to it
instant.
slowly. Go to it slowly.
Tell your friends.
This is so
Anyways,
mean.
go read that article. It's one of the best written articles, but it's about Savior. And if you don't think that guy was not one of the best players in the history of the game, you're smoking something severe at that moment in time. He's
Jeff, From our dear friend at twitter.com/Kinniget, he wants to ask Artosis, but I'm going to ask you because I think you'll actually tell us the real story. Hopefully you were there for this.
What?
He wants to know about the Machine G5 Artosis talk and media event after Machine didn't qualify for TSL 1.
Which one was this? Was this, I'm trying to remember. I'm sure it was terrible. No, hold on. There was like so much drama during TSL 1. What one was it, man?
Are we going to tell the story, or are we just going to let Artosis?
No, I'm trying to figure out which one is to tell the right story. Was it the one where like Machine had the game completely won, like Lings in the guy's base and lurkers, and he disconnected and they made him regame?
No, it's the one where G5 at the last minute before they closed out the top 32 or whatever cheated. And
he cheated Machine out of the spot?
Took Machine's spot in the tournament and then gets caught.
What did we do about that?
Well,
we're supposed to talk about the vent. The media
the
event,
reason this is brought up, Dan, I don't think you're reading the Twitter, is Kennegat saying that you were a hard player to deal with.
I was. I already said that, man. I was terrible bad manner.
It would be hilarious if you argue against that, but yeah. So.
I was the worst manner player, man. I was so bad. Well, I wasn't actually the worst. I was better than a lot of people, but I was bad.
Like who?
Time that you yelled at him.
Like, you guys remember Misters? Like the worst human ever to have existed?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Multiple Z's.
Yeah, dude.
The Polish Protoss. There's not much of a story here. I'm sure it's just Dan yelling the shit off at the...
I've actually seen Dan mad once before, ever. And it wasn't actually that bad.
JP, you don't even know me, man.
I know. I felt like I know him, but I've never seen him that upset.
Well, because I've mellowed out over the years, but I was a rager in StarCraft 1, man. I was so angry.
Oh my god. Tyler, can we... Look, Tyler,
we need some sound bites,
Tell
man.
me one
Where
of
are
your
the sound
favorite
bites?
Artosis rants on our media event one of those nights, or something you have. I know you have one, and then I want to do one.
And that'll wrap the show. No more questions. This is it, so it better be good.
Tyler, you want me to go first?
Okay.
Oh, you got one. Okay, go.
I'll just say something light, because I know you probably have something good.
Something
My
light.
memory's terrible, but just this is the classic picture of Artosis being angry. His face is like beet red, and there's like literally like steam coming out of his ears and shit. Like that's the
Does
kind
he
of guy
get quiet
Artosis
when he's
was.
upset, or does he just scream?
No! Oh my god!
Okay.
man.
I actually have to see this, Dan. I have to piss you off when I'm up.
I don't get angry like that anymore. I don't know.
Oh my god.
The shades of red that I've seen on Artosis' face at like WCGs.
Oh god, that DT drop from Louder that killed my entire main base and I still almost came back and won? That game? You want to get me started? Jeez.
Dan, like, when some people get legitimately upset, their ability to articulate ideas and thoughts deteriorates. Dan, it doesn't. If anything, it, like, sharpens and heightens. And when he gets mad, he says some of the funniest, like, from his perspective, most poignant things you could imagine. But it's so fueled from, like, this race-induced bias that you can't imagine. Ask Dan what the weakest race was in Brood War, Terran. Ask what it was in StarCraft 2. He'll say Zerg, even though he plays Protoss now. But I remember, like, we'd play these games, and one of my favorites was G5. Okay, so
the Throne?
Yeah, hang on. I think the map was Blue Storm or something. It was a two-person map. Dan's putting up his depot barracks wall, and G5 is hitting the SCV, then backing away, then hitting the SCV, and, like, just microing the shit out of it. Like, you can see the probe twittering.
This
like,
is just a practice game.
And Dan on vent, because we didn't use Skype at the time, on vent, he goes, "What is this? What do you think this is, the fucking GSL Finals? You think it's the fucking GSL Finals? Calm down there, micro hero." He's like, "Don't do that shit," and G5's just like, he's just laughing his ass off. But Dan's actually getting mad, like,
That is crazy.
trying too fucking hard. One of my ones. Now, the other one of my favorite ones is that map. What was that map? It was a two-person map. It had crystals dividing the middle in minerals. You guys remember this? Terrans always tank push Zergs through the middle of the map.
Was it like mostly a 2v2 map?
No, it was a 1v1 map, but it was left versus right.
What map this is.
You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, it was a big turtle map.
I know
and
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Dan loved those maps, so he's on his side of the base, and this is part of the reason why Dan was so mad. I've actually I've diagnosed this. It's because Terrans have to set up their bases in Brood War so meticulously, and like they just have it. They're like, okay, my base is all ready, and then DT show up and they're like, no. They're like, dude, my precious Trinodals. And anyway, so Dan is flipping out. He's got tanks lined up. He's like going battle cruisers. He's on 4 bases. And I like Dark Swarm walk my ass like with Hydra Lurker up into his base, and shit's just dying. And Dan, like on vent, we can hear like, but then it just stops. And he's like, and you can hear him like sit back, and he goes, "Okay." So I actually fucking won the game like 15 minutes ago. Fucking play. Like, we're just like, what? He's like, this is stupid. This is fucking stupid. Like, honestly, you're trying way too hard. 10 minutes ago, when you're on 3 bases and I was on 5, the game was fucking over. I don't know why you didn't leave. You just didn't leave. So I'm counting this as a win.
That sounds about right though, because you said I was going like battle cruiser off 5 base on a turtle map. It's like, I don't know, Jeff. Maybe you should just let the game. So
Hold
I kept
on.
trying.
Artosis,
What?
say, do you believe in life after love for me right now?
No.
Do it. Do
No,
it.
I'm not gonna JP.
Do it.
It's not-
God damn it, Artosis. A
well.
fan requested it. You're going to deny a fan, Artosis?
Sorry.
God damn it, Dan.
Dan was legendary. The way our media event went is that Idra, myself, Machine, Artosis, Asem, Tyler, and Nyokin, sometimes a couple other people, G5.
And G5's birds.
G5's birds.
G5's fucking birds.
We'd log on every single night and we'd play for hours, but this is the way the night would end. Idra would rage quit because he lost a couple games. He would just log off. He's gone.
It's a G5 every time.
Tyler was going 1-1.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you would have already left because he just like starts cackling and logs off. That's the way that goes. The games still kind of hold together. Machine loses a series, so he plays the next 17 consecutive games of that night because until he wins, we're not going to stop. What eventually happens is that like 4 a.m. Artosis time, he ends up losing a game or 2 to G5, which usually takes about 45 minutes. And then he says, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, I'm out, and he logs off. It ended every night.
Is there any recordings of these that people can find
No.
on YouTube or anything?
I don't think so.
This is when we all just, shit.
We were just there to talk to each other. It was not...
Hey, Dan, you remember a map called Forte? Neo Forte?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Did you like building bases on that map?
No, not so much, man. Not so much.
Okay, so for StarCraft 2 fans, that map, the interesting concept was it had a tiny ramp in Brood War, where like only like a stalker, or excuse me, a dragoon, LOL, a dragoon could not walk down it, or a tank. So if you built
But I
any,
think a different map. Neo Forte was the one where the main base could fit like 3 Splat Eagles in the barracks, and you had to go in the low ground.
Yeah, Neo Forte had the
Oh,
smallest.
Neo
bases.
Forte. Okay, I pulled up just Forte.
oh,
Sorry.
well, are you sure? Because I thought the ramp leading up into that small platform could only fit.
I'm
pretty sure
the
that's
Siege
right.
Shaker Ultra.
That's a different
It's a
map.
different
Yeah, you're thinking of something else. You're thinking of you're thinking of that 4-player map. Remember when Dino started hacking and he won the finals of that tournament? It was on that. It was the one that there was so many epic games on. What the hell was the name of that? The 4 corners. It was like an island map basically.
Oh, someone says
Like the
815.
Hydras.
The map I'm talking
It
about.
was
That's
815. It was 815. Yeah, it was.
That's
Yeah.
the map you're talking about. That's not the map I'm talking about.
No, we're talking about Neo Forte, man.
Oh, you know
Neo
what?
Forte.
815. Okay,
All right, this is going nowhere. We actually just have to wrap up the show. I'm sorry, we can't debate the map anymore. So we're actually going off air in 2 weeks. Next week, I've enlisted Wani to help me try to contact Boxer, and we're going to see if Boxer wants to come on for an interview with Wani next to him in Seoul, South Korea. Don't know if it's going to happen. Probably won't, but we're going to try. If that doesn't work, we're 99% sure that we could probably get an ST or MVP to come on and ask him a couple of questions and get some fan questions for him as well. So look for that next week. The week after that, if you've been watching State of the Game for the past year, we actually had, was it episode 26, Jeff? Do you remember the number?
Don't.
24, 26, something like that. If
This
you know,
time last year.
yeah, it was actually this time last year. We did a drunk episode. And we're going to do it again. We're going to make Artosis get drunk at 10 a.m. in Seoul, South Korea. It's happening on December...
You're gonna make me?
Oh, you're actually getting drunk.
I'm going to encourage you to.
You have no say. No, you're getting
Alright.
drunk.
We'll see.
That'll happen on the
Might do it.
13th of December, and that'll be the last show here for Season 2. When we come back on January the 4th or the 12th, we're not really sure which day it'll be, we're actually combining forces with the Mineral Patch Charity, and they've got a lot of stuff up for sale. They're going to be dropping a bunch more information. Go check them out at Mineral Patch. But some of the things you can win here, they're going to do a raffle. You can get a Thermaltake headset signed by White Raw. You can get, there's actually some pretty crazy stuff here. You can get a guest spot on DJ Wheat's show, Kings of Tin, Pokemon Blue shirt signed by Squirtle, Day9 shirt signed by Day9. You can get Total Biscuit's top hat, an IPL package, which I don't really know what that is. Coaching session with TLO. The raffle tickets are going to be $5, and all proceeds will go to Doctors Without Borders, mineralpatch.org, and twitter.com/mineralpatch. For the Twitter updates, we will be announcing the winners on State of the Game on January 4th and or the 12th. So go check all that stuff out. Jeff, shout-outs?
Yes. So I'm doing a charity. It's called Rumble in the Bronze. Well, excuse me. When I say I'm doing it, means they've asked me to come on and commentate, which I'm really honored and happy to be a part of. But it's taking place December 10th. I'm not sure exactly at what time. There's a thread on Team Liquid. I will be tweeting information about it. Obviously, the closer we get to the date, the more information I have. But they're already running commercials about it and producing some pretty funny commentary. But the obvious, what's happening is it's money being raised for Child's Play, and I think it's just Child's Play, but don't quote me on that. Last time they raised about $3,400. This year they want to raise about $5,000 or more. I think we can do better than that. Hopefully you guys will show up. But what my role is I'm making fun of bronze players while they play out this tournament. And they've told me, they said, please just make fun of them. Make fun of them any way you can. So I fancy myself a guy that's capable of making fun of things pretty well. And I'm going to do my best to make fun of these guys and make them feel really bad about themselves. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm going to try to make it entertaining. So come out December 10th. Also, I'll be participating in the Docs tournament, which is a tournament ran by Docs, a guy who runs tournaments usually on the C server, but he's kind of doing an international $2,500 tournament, and that's taking place this coming weekend. So while you're on a break from watching NASL, root me on. I could use it. Obviously, every tournament's another opportunity for me to try and get that shit off my back, and this is just another opportunity to do that, so thank you. And then obviously to my sponsors and Team Evil Geniuses, wouldn't be here without any of them, Monster, SteelSeries, Kingston HyperX, Beyond Gaming, and Intel, obviously. Ironically, I said them last, even though they're the biggest one. But thank you to all those guys. And also, I wrote a blog a while ago, I think we talked about that a little bit, and it was talking about how people have their part in the community and they can all help. And I just want to say huge props to the community. I've been getting constant PMs, emails, tweets about people saying, here's what I did, here's what I'm going to do, I'm inspired, I'm thinking about it, I'm doing this stuff. Like, a lot of people are talking about making a difference, and that's huge to me. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
so
I've actually gotten a lot of PMs saying that you sent them. So
tip of the fucking hat to those people, man. Like, I really think 2012 could be huge. I think it will be huge. I think it could be bigger than what anyone could ever imagine if we all put our heads and hands and minds together and all that shit and start doing some work.
Certainly. Sheth?
Big shout out.
Actually, Sheth and Tyler, do you guys want to combine forces here and do some shout-outs? Because Tyler's not going to say a damn thing in the first place.
Want to take turns, Tyler?
You do yours. I'll add on to it after that.
Okay. Big thank you to Team Liquid, the website, for everything you guys do, the community support. That's where the Jeff's article got posted, the blog. I love everything that kind of centers around. Thanks to Little App Factory, Razer, and Twitch TV, which are the team sponsors. And then a big thanks to all of you guys who watch State of the Game. If you're interested more in me personally, you're welcome to check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/liquidsheth. I also stream quite a bit. I'm streaming a lot after NASL at twitch.tv/liquidsheth. And if you're in or around California coming up this weekend, or even if you're going to maybe a Barcraft, anywhere, like try and find a way, I guess, to watch NASL. I think it's going to be amazing. And I hope you tune in. And I'm probably missing something, but
Tyler's
Tyler
here for you,
Tyler will get it. Yep.
I've got nothing for you, man.
Oh my! See, this is
I've
what
got one
happens.
just for me. So at the end of 2011 MLG season, I am done with Stride, and because it was just a 1-year agreement, so I just want to say it was awesome working with Stride. It was awesome being sponsored by them. I hope I've made some lifelong Stride cheers now, and yeah, so I won't be mentioning them in interviews anymore. That's why, but they're still awesome. Would love to work with them more anytime, any events.
Dan?
I don't think I really have that many this week. Make sure you watch the GSL finals this weekend. Make sure you watch NASL and whatever other events are on, because that helps esports a lot. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Artosis. And everyone, just be nice to each other. We don't need any more terrible TSA agents in this world.
We don't. Dan, do you you produce shirts, right? What's that website?
HandsomeNerd.com, JP. Has a lot of great shirts, and we are sponsoring. We're trying to get out more player shirts and team shirts and stuff like that, and the proceeds, most of them at least, go to help those teams out directly and those players out directly. So
Oh, it's still down.
check it out.
It's still down, but go check it out,
Yeah,
guys.
it comes up real quick nowadays.
Dan, any
You and I are gonna have a private talk about this later.
Dan, I was hoping there would be an update on the untold story of Major as well.
Oh yeah, please.
Do you have any?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to actually say. He, for personal reasons, had to go back to USA, where he decided to join a foreign team. So, I mean, that's it. I think he's going to come out and be in the Gong House. I'm not completely sure on that yet, but I mean, TSL liked him a lot. He liked TSL a lot. It just did not work out. So, that's it.
Can we expect the finals for Ascension soon? Is
Yeah.
that still in the works?
Dude,
Jesus, this is like the most interview questions Jeff and Tyler have ever done before.
I love my friends like just being
I'll
this.
fucking I'll bring Boxer on here, and Tyler and Jeff won't say a word.
Look, you get Yosh to admit that he's playing, and then I'm trying to Jeff to agree. I'll put up like $1,000, man. I'll do that fine. So the original
Oh
gift
my
for the
God.
finals was $50. That's what it was. I'll up
Was
that
that what it was
myself.
for?
Was it
It was
really
for $50, man. That's
Oh,
I made
shit.
it when there was no tournaments, man. That's why I made it for you
No,
guys, for
it was
you
awesome.
three specifically.
And to
And I get
launch
trolled all the time, man,
incredibly
because the players
successful career.
disappeared.
All right, we're done.
Changed. Wow.
No more Brood War nostalgia for this episode. Tune in next week. I'll let you guys know if Boxer is going to be able to make it or who we will have on the show. I'm hoping that Boxer can, because that would be a lot of fun. And Sean should be here. If not, we're actually getting him drunk. He can't get out of it on the 13th, because that'll be a show for the ages, just like
Is it a
last
Friday?
night's was. Do what?
Is it a Friday?
Let's do it Friday. Oh no, it's a Tuesday, man. Why would we do
My
Tuesday?
dog's getting neutered on Friday the 13th.
Well, that's terrible. Way to end
Yeah.
the show there on a downer,
It's like
Jeff.
Fred Krueger gets the leader. That's so gross.
Jeff, you have to bring us back up after that comment, man.
If you think about it, JP, the day is really unlucky because he won't have any balls left. I don't know. There's an excuse to answer that.
See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.